Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
Well, good morning, and a pleasant good Monday morning to each and every one of you. We welcome you to Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I'm Thom Brennaman. We come your way Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. You can find us on YouTube. That's at Chatterbox Sports. We always ask you, please subscribe to the program if you're able. We also stream on Facebook, and that's a Chatterbox Sports page as well. If you prefer to join us in podcast form, by all means, please do so. Wherever you get your podcast, search Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman, and you're dialed in. Well, it's only been a week. It seems like a month since the Bengals were eliminated from the playoffs, and now it's Super Bowl week, gentlemen. Casey, Paul, good morning. Are you ready for the Super Bowl? Yay or nay?
Casey, go ahead.
I guess I'm ready for the Super Bowl. I'm ready to crown the champion of this year. It's going to be the Eagles, but it's going to be fun watching. Really fun watching.
It's going to be the Eagles?
Yeah.
I mean, you say that like that's a slam dunk.
Yeah, it's a slam dunk. As much as I don't like either team, well, I don't dislike the Eagles. I just feel like their fans are obnoxious. But Patrick Mahomes has not faced this type of defense yet, so.
Paul, any thoughts? You excited about the game? You're going to watch the game, right?
Yeah, I'll watch it. I don't really care, but I'll watch it.
When are you giving out your official pick for this game? Are you getting into some of the prop bet stuff on Not Too Picky this week?
As the week goes on, we're going to do a lot more with it. Yeah, as we get to Thursday and Friday, I'm sure on the box lunch we'll have some picks. We got some stuff that we can give out here as everything goes on. It's funny people talking about the props, like betting on the Gatorade color and all that, because you can't actually bet on a lot of the stuff that people joke about betting on in different states. So every state has different rules depending on how they wrote the laws. I don't know what Ohio's is based on, because usually what states get nervous about is when humans can control what the actual outcome of the bet is. So obviously you're playing sports, humans are playing sports, but I'm talking about somebody pouring the Gatorade color because they got paid off to do that. So every state is different. I got to check in, see what you can do in Ohio. But I'm sure we'll have all those
Isn't the big country star Chris Stapleton singing the national anthem?
Bet the over-under on that.
Well, that's what you just prompted me to think of something that, I mean, if you were Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? You talk about things you can't control and can't control, right? I mean, Chris Stapleton could go to his brother, right? Theoretically, I'm not saying he would do this kind of thing. Seems like a good dude, great musician, very popular, right? But he could go to his brother or his cousin or the guy that lives next door and says, hey, this thing's going to be over whatever the time is on the prop. And we're going to bet $50,000 on that.
Yeah.
Could happen, right?
Oh, it easily could happen. And that's what people get nervous. That's what the gaming boards all get nervous about a lot is can one singular person control the outcome of whatever the bet is. So yeah, with the national anthem, I don't know if you can actually take a legal Betfred wager on the national anthem. I don't think you can.
Okay.
But there are places you can, because it's popular enough that there are places you can do it. I just don't know. I just don't think above board legally.
Okay. All right.
We'll see.
So the game is Sunday, and that will be in the Phoenix suburb of Glendale, Arizona. Kickoff is set for 6:30, and the game will be on Fox. Other NFL news, the Carolina Panthers have signed Hiro Evero as their new defensive coordinator under their new head coach, Frank Reich. Evero was the DC of a very good Denver defense this past season. Brian Schottenheimer, the new offensive coordinator in Dallas, replacing Kellen Moore, who, of course, was fired and immediately was signed by the L.A. Chargers. How about Aaron Rodgers? You know, we talk all the time about how these guys, and I was having a conversation with some buddies of mine the other night, how, you go through sports and having the chance to be around it a lot. And I remember the guy that I used to hear people talk about this all the time, and by this point he was a coach, was a Hall of Famer, Robin Yount, right? Milwaukee Brewers. Came up as a shortstop, league MVP, moved into center field, league MVP. but he was a coach with the Diamondbacks when I was there. And you'd hear guys 20 years younger than him talking about, this guy's the best at everything we do. We're playing ping pong. We're playing basketball on an off day. Whatever it is, they're like, this dude's the best of all of them. It makes you wonder if Aaron Rodgers isn't that kind of guy. He hasn't played golf since before training camp started in July. Plays right around a 10 handicap. And all he does is go out and win the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am with Ben Silverman. Now, that is unfreaking believable. You got some of these guys. I guess Tony Romo's a really good golfer, right? One of the best
Very
out there,
good.
right?
They say that Romo could play professionally if he really wanted to. Maybe he should.
Did I see something the other day where they were trying to do intervention? Not intervention.
Oh, yeah. Did you read that about Romo? They realized he was going downhill and tried to do an intervention with him, and CBS was aware of it before the season.
Who's they?
CBS. Whoever the top people at CBS were.
That they were trying to do what?
That they realized that he was regressing, that maybe they caught lightning in a bottle and got ahead of themselves.
Right.
And they realized this before the season and tried to step in and maybe guide him or help him hold his hand along the way. And it didn't work out this season like the way they had hoped it would.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, I didn't get into all of the details of it as much as, I don't want to slander Tony Romo.
I got you
up here.
Well, it brings up an interesting topic, and that is, and I saw it firsthand working at the network level at Fox for 25 years. NBC 1,000 years ago, and he just recently passed away, Marty Glickman, who was this legendary announcer in the New York area, basketball, football, all this kind of thing. Well, once his play-by-play career was over, the powers that be at NBC Sports, going back to Michael Weissman and some of these guys used to run NBC Sports, they thought, you know what, why not hire a guy to be a full-time fill-in-the-blank consultant, friend, confidant, peer, to help the other announcers coming up. And Marty Glickman had an incredible career in his former life as an announcer, but then extremely prolific in helping to mentor guys like Dick Enberg, Bob Costas, all these other guys that were coming up with NBC at the time, Marv Albert. And to my knowledge, at Fox, we didn't have this kind of guy, and I always thought it would be one of those things. Because what happens is when you get up to the level of, say, the Joe Bucks of the world, okay, you might have friends you really trust that'll tell you stuff you're doing well and maybe some things you're not doing so well, right? And that's what everybody hopes for. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. You need people around you that will not always be yes people and not always tell you how great you are, but to try to help you get better. And I'm not sure if any of the networks are doing that stuff anymore. I'm not sure at all. All right, enough of Aaron Rodgers. What do we got up next? It was a big basketball weekend. College hoops, we start with Paul Fritzner's Xavier Musketeers. The 16th-ranked Muskies blow St. John's out of the gym, 96-71. They're 19-5 on the year, 11-2 in the Big East. And that's good enough for a first-place tie atop the conference with Marquette. The Golden Eagles rolled on Saturday as well over hapless Butler. The two teams square off on the 15th of this month in Milwaukee. Bearcats got a nice win over UCF on Saturday. That was a wild crowd down there at Fifth Third Arena. I don't know what was going on down there, but you got guys chugging Skyline chili out of a can, and it was crazy down there. I talked to some friends of mine who went to the game, and they said it was just incredible atmosphere. UC opened up a big lead. UCF made a run to make it a game in the final minutes. Victor Locken had 20 points in the 73-64 win. Cats 16-8 on the year, and will play at Tulane tomorrow night. Elsewhere, number 1 Purdue loses against rival Indiana, 79-74. That Boilermaker big man, Zach Edey, not a bad player.
Oh, my God. He's so good. 7'4". And sometimes you get those guys that are huge. You get those guys in college basketball that are huge, but they're not that good because they're uncoordinated and they're tall and they're just not that good. He's not that guy.
No.
He is the AP National Player of the Year. He's locked it up. I don't think there's any discussion about it. He is so good. And Reed and I have joked about how it almost sometimes looks like a high school team because you get these 4 guys on the perimeter that just throw the ball into him, and he just turns around and scores.
I mean, the dude had 33 points, 18 rebounds against Indiana, but it wasn't enough. Hoosiers now 16-7, Purdue 22-2. 2 other teams in the top 10 lost on the weekend. Number 6, Virginia loses at rival Virginia Tech. Number 8, Kansas loses again, and they play Texas tonight. But Kansas loses at number 12, Iowa State. What is going on in Columbus, Ohio? I saw a note the other day, the last 7 years, right? The highest winning percentage of football and men's basketball, just those 2 sports of all schools in the country, by far the best winning percentage belonged to Ohio State. I'll give you $100 to name number 2.
Best winning percentage.
Football and men's basketball.
And this is a D1 team.
D1 team. I was shocked when I read this.
Number 2 in the last 5 years.
Yep.
Can I get a conference?
I don't even know what conference. It's a non-Power 5 conference.
Oh, really?
I can tell you that.
No.
They don't play football.
No.
I'm
trying
you're
to
right around the general
Utah?
vicinity there. No, but it is San Diego State.
Oh, yeah, man, that's right.
San Diego.
Hey,
Interesting
Forbes.
little nugget there. Interesting little nugget. But Ohio State starts the year 10-3. They have since gone 1-9 after yesterday's loss to Michigan in Ann Arbor, 72-63. And the question now is Chris Holtmann in trouble? Should he be in trouble? He's never advanced past the second round of the NCAA tournament during now 6 seasons in Columbus. And outside of a miracle run in the Big Ten tournament this year, the Buckeyes won't even make the NCAA tournament. Is Chris Holtmann in danger in Columbus, Ohio?
I said Steve Forbes of San Diego State. That was Steve Fisher like 10 years ago. No, I don't think he's in trouble. He's not on the hot seat and he shouldn't be. But I know Ohio
Shouldn't be?
No, he shouldn't be.
6 years at Ohio State.
I understand.
And you can't get past the second round of the tournament.
I know.
All the money they have up there.
I know. I don't think he should be on the hot seat. But I do understand the frustration. I do understand where Ohio State fans would want him on the hot seat. I personally, if I was an Ohio State fan, would not want him on the hot seat. I think he's a very good coach. He has had a ton of things. It's almost the Travis Steele at Xavier where you've had a lot of things go against you and you've been very unlucky, like this year without one of your best players for most of the year. I don't think Ohio State should fire Chris Holtmann. I think he should probably get one more year. But there's also the flip side of that where I would wonder if Holtmann would see the writing on the wall here and jump to, say, a Notre Dame or one of those that might open up this year. Like a Notre Dame. Sounds like Boeheim might want to come back again. That was a disaster this weekend, but sounds like he might want to come back again. But what a joke that was. But maybe Holtmann jumps ship and goes to like a Notre Dame or a Syracuse or something, one of those if they open. But
why would Chris Holtmann leave Ohio State to go to Syracuse or Notre Dame?
Well, I'm saying if he can read the writing on the wall that his time at Ohio State is short, then maybe he just gets out ahead of it.
Okay.
But if he knows that he's locked up there, then I think he's there another year at least. But maybe Ohio State fans run him out.
Okay. One other note in college basketball. No surprise here. They drill them and everything. Ohio University just wiped out Miami in basketball on Saturday. I mean, Miami for a decade hasn't beaten Ohio University in anything. There's an outlier game here or there, but it can't beat them in anything, as it should be. NBA, a huge trade in the works, apparently. Not a done deal yet, but Brooklyn dealing star Kyrie Irving, along with Markieff Morris, to the Dallas Mavericks for 2 players and then 3 draft picks over the next 6 years. Their draft picks in like 27 and 29. The Mavericks ran the idea by their big star, Luka Doncic, and he said, absolutely bring this guy in. The two will team up for the first time this Wednesday night if the deal gets done and they get the physical done. That'll be against the Clippers in L.A. How about those two guys together?
Yeah, I'm excited for that, Tom.
I got to tell you, Kyrie Irving, you can say whatever you want about the dude. The guy is an unbelievable player.
He is.
And he is a clutch player.
He's good when he plays.
Yeah,
well, he's been playing this year.
He's playing this
He's averaging, 27 a game?
Something close to that, yeah.
I mean, he is.
He was carrying the Nets before without KD, and I'm excited. I'm a huge Luka Doncic fan. That's probably that is probably my NBA team is the Mavericks. So I'm super excited for this, for him to actually have some capable star that's, on the same level or, just a little lower. But this is great. I'm excited. I'm excited to be a Maverick fan.
Boy, you are the ultimate front runner. I mean, you or Trace Fowler start flipping coins. Green Bay in football, Kansas in basketball. Now you are, the Bengals in football front running, and the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks.
It is for the silliest of reasons, honestly. Luka. So my nephew, his name is Luka, and he was born right when Luka started getting really good. So ever since then, we've been keeping tabs on Luka Doncic, and I don't know. I've been keeping track. I know they're not they're a mid team, but with Kyrie Irving, they might actually have a good shot to contend. I'm excited.
He's just got to play. That's quite literally the only thing with Kyrie Irving is his job is to play professional basketball. And there are a lot of nights where he's just like, you know what, I'm not going to do my job tonight. You know what, I'm going to just take a night off. Maybe I'll just take the year off.
Well, I got to tell you, I am really surprised, and we don't talk about the NBA rarely ever, and we're going to, we probably will moving forward as the season goes on, but I'm surprised on some of our regulars just pounding away at Kyrie Irving.
I mean, he is the biggest clown in the NBA.
And why is that?
He just straight up never plays. This season he's playing, but there are
reasons why he didn't play.
I mean,
the guy decided not to take the vaccine. That's his choice if he doesn't want to take it.
I mean, yeah, but even more so than the vaccine, there were many nights over the last 3 years where he just, you know what, I'm good. I'm not playing. I'm not showing up. Not playing.
Listen, if he decides to play, he is one of the better players in the NBA. If he likes playing with the Mavericks, it's going to be a good deal for the Mavericks. That's really all it boils down to, is if he is happy enough being with the Mavericks.
When he plays, he is one of the best guards in the NBA.
Oh, he's top 5 player in the league when he plays.
When he plays, and he plays at his peak level, and he plays consistently for a full season, there is not one team in the NBA that would not be exponentially better with Kyrie Irving on them. It's quite literally the risk that you run wondering whether he's going to show up on your court.
Okay, look, I'm not here to defend the guy in any form or fashion. I don't know him. I mean, he might be a complete jerk. I don't know. I have no clue. But when people say that he, is this or that or whatever else, is that only because you just disagree with what he wants to do? I mean, look, I go no further. The vaccine, we're not going to get into the whole thing, this and that and everything else. What's transpired over the last 2 or 3 years, there's a lot going on there. All of us know there's a lot going on there, okay? If the guy decides he doesn't want to take the vaccine, that's his decision. Okay?
Yeah.
That's his decision. He's allowed to make that decision. You might disagree with it, but that's his personal decision. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the whole thing that went on earlier this year, we talked about this at the time, with whatever involvement he had on this anti-Semitic documentary that was running on Netflix or something like that. Adam Silver, who is the commissioner of the NBA, okay, he's thrown right in the middle of all of this. And what did he do? He said, okay, I'm going to go examine everything out there. I'm going to go watch this film, which he came out and said he did not like the film. He didn't agree with some of the things in the film. He said, but then, instead of making a rush to judgment on Kyrie Irving as it pertains to this particular topic, Adam Silver did what most people don't do in this day and age. He sat down with Kyrie Irving. He met with him over the course of a number of days, over countless hours, to talk about all of this kind of stuff. And Adam Silver, who is Jewish, came out and said, I got no problem with this guy. Got no problem with him whatsoever. I believe his heart's in the right place. I don't think he's an anti-Semitic guy. And that is my opinion, and I'm going to stand by it. That's not coming from some white Anglo-Saxon Protestant dude sitting up there in Martha's Vineyard.
No, and I think even more so than any of the political stuff or any of that controversial stuff. I mean, you just go back. He was in Cleveland, and he wanted to get out of Cleveland, so he went to Boston. Fans there hated him, so he asks for a trade out of Boston, plays 20 games in his first year in Brooklyn, kind of mails it in, played 54 the next year, all right. 54 is all right. But then he only played 29 last year. Now he's played 40 this year. I don't understand. But, hey, it's like I said, when he decides to play and he says, I'm going to play, he is somebody that every team in the NBA would want on their roster. And credit to the Mavericks for going out and getting him and getting Luka some help, because this immediately makes the Mavericks an instant contender in the West.
All right, let me ask you this question, because I want to go back and make sure that I have this right, because my son brought this up with me last night, and I didn't understand it, and I still don't understand it.
Okay, I'm listening.
The LeBron James tweet.
Oh, maybe it's me?
Yeah, I mean, what did you make of that?
Well,
I mean, my son was trying to say how the internet was reacting, but I don't know enough about it. I know the Lakers were apparently in the hunt to try and get Kyrie Irving. Irving and LeBron won a championship when they were down in 2016, 3-1 to Golden State. Thanks to Irving and LeBron, they come back and win it. Incredible series. Irving was just insane. Well, what's that all about? How do you read into that?
I read the same thing. I think LeBron realizes that right now with Westbrook and everybody else, I mean, Austin Reeves is good, but I think LeBron realizes now that he needs help, and he needs serious help, because LeBron is not in his prime anymore. LeBron is still one of the best players in the NBA, but he's not in his prime anymore, and he needs help. And they have Anthony Davis. I mean, I get it. But Davis has had his injury issue. He's hurt all the time.
All the time.
So
and Pat Beverly and Westbrook are just not getting it done.
and so they need somebody. The Lakers need somebody to go out there and help them compete for a title, because LeBron, I mean, he's got to win another title. I love LeBron, but he needs help. And I think he was hoping that he would go out there and get Kyrie, and that they could reunite and do what they did in Cleveland in 2016, but it didn't happen. And then LeBron hops on Twitter and goes, maybe it's me. And I'm thinking,
but what do you think he means by that? Maybe it's me. I'm being totally sincere. I don't have an opinion on it or any thought on it, because I don't know what to think. Is he making it like the guy didn't want to come play with me? The organization doesn't want to do anything to help me? I'm serious.
Yeah, go ahead.
My thought was it was a direct correlation to the Nets having a problem with sending them to the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like, that would make them a contender again. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to give LeBron the fuel to go to the –
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't want to just –
Why would the Nets care about that? The only thing the Nets should care about on that kind of thing is making the best possible deal they can make to help their franchise.
Right.
I mean, they're not getting picked until 2027 and 2029. I've never heard of such a thing in that regard. Maybe that's some stipulation in the NBA that you have to do things like that. I don't know.
Well, didn't they also trade I can't remember his name. It starts with a D as well in that package from the Mavs. I can't remember his name.
Markieff Morris?
No.
You talking about in the Kyrie deal?
Yes.
Yeah, Markieff Morris is going with Kyrie Irving to Dallas.
To Dallas. Oh, I thought there was a player from Dallas going to the Nets.
There are 3 players going.
Who are those players?
Off the top of my head.
I only saw the trade to the Mavs. I did not see what the return was in the trade.
The return is
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Spencer
Dinwiddie.
They have some guys that they can build, like, try to. Yeah, they're not stars, but they're like solid players. Like, that's added depth that they probably didn't have before.
What I wonder in the NBA, and I admittedly don't follow the NBA as closely as I follow college basketball, but It's all basketball, so I follow it enough. What I wonder is when NBA teams are going to get their leverage back against the players in these trade requests. Because it seems like every time a player says in the NBA, I want to trade, I want out of here, like Kyrie on whatever it was, Friday, requested a trade before the deadline, boom, he got his trade. So many of these teams are acquiescing to whatever the players want because they want the players to be happy, which is fine because the NBA doesn't want, I mean, the owners, the teams, general managers, they don't want their players sitting out and taking up space. But so many of these players, they ask for a trade, and then if they don't get the trade or if their demands aren't met, they just sit out. They don't play. And I wonder what it's going to take. I think it happened, I'm trying to remember, it might have been KD, happened a couple of years ago. And I wonder when it's going to come back to, we signed you, you're on a contract, you just got to play. You got to play it. We signed you to play games, and you're not playing games. You got to play games. And there is no league in the world, and this has been the constant gripe on the NBA for a while, in the past decade or so, is that the postseason is a season in and of itself. The postseason is 2.5 months long. It's a season in and of itself. Yep. And it is an incredible 2.5 months. But the regular season and everything else, free agency, all that, there is so much drama and buildup and everything off the court that it's almost become more fun to follow the NBA storylines off the court like a reality show than it is to follow the actual games night in and night out, at least in the regular season. And I just wonder, it's like AJ says in the chat, the NBA is a circus. It kind of is a circus. Oh, yeah. And I wonder I wonder, and this is where I don't know the dynamics of it well enough, I wonder if Adam Silver and all them are cool with it and they love it and they just say, hey, we love the drama. Because David Stern was great at that. David Stern knew exactly what buttons to push. He knew exactly what he needed to do to get done, to get the eyeballs on the game. I just wonder what Adam Silver and the rest of the league are okay with and what they're not okay with and what they're talking about behind closed doors when they see these situations like with Kyrie where he requests a trade and he's gone in 48 hours.
Well, I can tell you this right now. And look, you talk about a circus. I mean, what Adam Silver is looking at is what every other commissioner of a sport is looking at, and that is how many people are watching your product. There's another sport going right in the tank from a television standpoint. Right in the tank. And then when you have what happened last week, 2 fights. I mean, these weren't like, little BS sort of, I'm talking to you and you're talking to me. They got players going in the stands a couple of weeks ago with Shannon Sharp.
Yep.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
You think that's good for the NBA? It's terrible for the NBA. Now, some out there are going to say, oh, well, the circus creates, people want to go to the circus and they want to, all this kind of stuff. But I can tell you, when I just read an article not long ago about this whole TV thing with the NBA, and people are getting turned off by it. Because you're right, the stars of the stars of the stars run that league. Now, should they have a say in how the league is run? I got no problem with that. I mean, they're the ones that are out there, blood, sweat, and tears and laying it all on the line night in and night out. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with all the money they're making. And nobody's spending money on players like the NBA. I mean, these contracts are just, if you think baseball's bad, it's not in the same galaxy with the NBA as far as what they're paying these guys. And good for them. But when the product starts to slip, and all of a sudden, you're a fan in fill in the blank. Boston a couple years ago, you're getting Kyrie Irving. Now all of a sudden the wheels fall off that situation. He ends up in New Jersey. You're excited about all these guys are bringing in and Harden and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, bam, everybody gone or hurt. Overnight, seemingly, just like that, right? How's that good for the product?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the culture shift from the NBA of what it used to be. I mean, I think they've lost a lot of the old viewership that cherished the NBA, and the difference between that's why I think the difference is between the NFL and the NBA is that the NBA I think might be more focused on getting the new viewer, and the new viewer is sensual. What I'm trying to say, not insatiable, but
I don't know.
Regardless, the new viewer is all about the drama, all about the just over the top display of either the game or the fights or the interactions. They check up on it on Twitter. They just love the drama. And I think that's what is lost nowadays in the NBA. Is there was a different type of drama, but it wasn't like on full display as it is now.
The NBA has evolved, and I understand where people might not like it because of whatever it might, whatever the on-court. I get tired of people arguing about they don't watch the NBA because of whatever's happening off the court. If you have that argument, you probably never watched the NBA in the first place. I get tired of hearing that. But what I do think about the NBA is that there is so much now with, like what you said, Casey, with the drama of the trades and who's friends with who and what happens in the offseason, that it boils down to the postseason with these teams that come through, these same teams over and over that are so good. And I love watching Giannis play. I love watching this Celtics team this year is really good. But, catch it in the postseason, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there is one common denominator with baseball and basketball, and that's their regular seasons are 100-plus games.
What the NBA does need to do, and I don't think that this is an overreaction at all, I do think that the NBA needs to start their season at Christmas. I think Christmas Day should be opening day of the NBA. Now, whether that means they play less regular season games, I don't know, because the season already goes forever.
You and I both know there's zero chance that will happen. I mean, none, because you're talking about fewer games. That's never going to happen in any sport.
Yeah.
They're adding games.
Right. Which
it's all about the money.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's about the money. I mean, most of these teams, I'm assuming, or a lot of these teams, not every one of them, they're selling out. Dallas is no doubt selling out every night with Luka down there, right? Milwaukee sells out every night, right?
Right.
With Giannis and all these guys. I mean, I don't know this off the top of my head, but I got to believe the NBA attendance for games is probably pretty good over the course of the year, right?
It's just you're saying it's just the product on the television that is struggling, but not necessarily
I just read what's written about it, and how they structure differently, and we've talked a little bit about this. We're going to try to get somebody on here who really knows the how to dot the I and cross the T, so to speak, right? About this whole Bally thing and how it pertains to not only baseball. Now, the NBA and the NHL apparently have structured some things that could offset potential losses if they can't pay the teams their rights fees and et cetera. But Bally's is in bed with the NBA just as much as they're in bed with Major League Baseball. And so where all that's going, on top of spiraling television ratings, on top of, we don't live in an NBA city, so it's unfair of me to talk about how popular the game is because I really don't know. I think the game of basketball is popular.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Worldwide, it's gaining popularity all the time.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to break out Paul Fritzner's kind of like a reset for everybody getting into college basketball now.
Yeah.
Okay, Super Bowl's coming up. As soon as that's over, we're all shifting gears to start paying attention to college basketball, baseball starting up here in the next week or so, I think. Pitchers and catchers report, right?
Yeah.
Middle of this month.
Yeah.
So we're going to get where Casey had his stink list, okay?
Yep.
Paul is going to come up, and we're going to update this periodically. We'll have different versions of this. But he is going to give us who he thinks will be, the 4 number 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, 4 seeds if the NCAA tournament were today. Now, he can change these, much like Casey changed the snake list. And I tell you what else we're going to do today. We're going to try for the first time ever. And we're putting our trust in you now. Okay? Seriously. And I say this seriously. Please. Okay? If you want to call and be a wise guy and say something stupid, okay? Or bring up Castellanos home run. Just just turn the show off and then just go away. Okay, just go away. Really, don't waste your time. If that's what you're thinking about, you're going to call in and try to say to be a wise guy and to be a funny guy, just hit the road. No problem, okay? But we're going to take calls for the first time today. We feel the show needs to kind of start always evolving. And so we're going to give out the number when we can come back, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But when we immediately come back, we'll see what Paul has in store for our seeds if the NCAA tournament were today. Ham and Eggers?
Absolutely.
All yours, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Yep.
Appreciate it. All right, Casey. So first of all, I see Sir Boy Wonder in here talking about college baseball. College baseball is all the rage. College baseball here in the last couple of years, if not already, college baseball has significantly taken off in popularity in the last 5 to 10 years. I have very much enjoyed broadcasting it, and it'll be a great college baseball season this year. If anybody wants a little bit of coverage of that, I'm always happy to mix in college baseball. But we do have a couple of things. We've talked about UC. We're going to talk about UC more in a minute. But as always, the Bearcats report and the Bengals report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing models to improve efficiency and what, Casey? Productivity,
yeah.
Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. Also, right here in front of me, let me make sure that this is screwed on tight so we don't ruin our equipment. Pawnee Water. There is a new premium alkaline water out, and it is Pawnee, P-A-H-H-N-I. And I have to tell you, we had somebody in the Discord last night say that they tried Pawnee Water for the first time, and they loved it, as would all of you if you tried it. Yeah, made in Hamilton, Ohio, Pawnee uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that many other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water that is also the best tasting water in the world. That's a quote. Best tasting water in the world. Visit their website at pawneewater.com. That is P-A-H-H-N-I water.com. P-A-H-H-N-I water.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. Yeah, so we do have, I'll preface this here real quick. We do have, it's not a stink list, it's just a seed list of the NCAA tournament, and we're going to do it here in just a second when Tom gets back. Basically a top 16, and then I'll reformat it as the week goes on, but it'll be a way for all of you, like Tom said. We know that the Bengals are out. You got the Super Bowl coming up. Whether you care or not about the Super Bowl, college basketball is really ramping up here, especially in the month of February. A couple of really good games tonight. So basically, if you haven't followed college basketball yet this season, or if you're just getting caught up on it, maybe you watched over the weekend for the first time, this is a way for you to know, understand where we're at, give you a frame of reference. If you have any questions in the chat, think about different teams, happy to answer them. But we do have it. Again, this is not a stink list, so what we're going to do here is we're going to put up the top 4 seeds here, and then later in the week I will do a different type of list where it's more of like Final Four teams, second weekend teams, bracket busters, Cinderellas, and then a stink column too. I'll do that later in the week, so more of a general scale, different frame. But this is right here where I see the top 4 seed lines playing out right now.
All right, so let's take a look. So, does that mean you think Alabama's the best team in the country, if I'm reading this right?
Bar none. I think they are. I think there is a argument to be made that you could have Purdue still number 1 even after their loss over the weekend to Indiana. That's a tough loss at Assembly Hall, crazy crowd. Purdue, they shot themselves in the foot over the weekend in that game. I think that was a game Purdue could have won, but credit to Indiana for getting it done. I do think Alabama, despite their hiccup a couple of weeks ago, lost by 20+. That's an outlier. They're winning almost every SEC game by double digits. I think they're the number 1 team in the country and the second best league in the country right now, probably. So I have this ordered. This is basically my top.
See, I'm not buying that about the SEC. I'm not buying it.
Well,
I mean, there might be some analytics that tell me that, but this is one of those years where the Big Ten's not getting the pub. They're not getting the pub they normally get, and they get a lot of pub, and they fail in the tournament last couple of years. We all know that. I think the Big Ten is a lot better than top to bottom in the SEC.
I could see that. You look at Purdue and you look at Indiana in the Big Ten. I just don't – outside of Purdue and Indiana, I mean, Ohio State's had a down year. Michigan, you never really know what you're going to get out of Michigan. Northwestern got a really nice win last night at Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's had a roller coaster
but I think
of a
Michigan
year.
State, I know they kind of go through this a little bit. You don't want to play Iowa, another team. Not sure you want to play them in a tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. Illinois, there's just I'm not buying Illinois. There's nothing with Illinois that makes me think that they're going to really get it going here in the tournament. They had a great December. They had a pretty good November, a great December. And Matthew Meyer was talking about how he thought that Illinois was going to win the national championship, and there was a lot of momentum around there. And then they kind of crashed and burned into January. I'm not buying the Big Ten as much as I am buying the SEC with Alabama. It looked like Arkansas was going to fall off a cliff, and now they've started to rebound. Arkansas and Kentucky play tomorrow night at Rupp Arena, and that is a huge game for both teams.
Kentucky's starting to play better.
Kentucky has won 6 of their last 7 and 6 in a row in the SEC. The one loss was to Kansas at Rupp. Kentucky is very much starting to play better. Right now, I would probably have Kentucky and Dayton. I would probably put them as the last team in the field in Dayton. Could you imagine Big Blue Nation going to UD Arena?
All right, let's get back to this list. All right, so in the 2 seed, you got I don't know what to make of Kansas. Arizona seems like it wins every night. UCLA had that little stretch last week where they lost a couple of times. They've got a nice team. Then you got Tennessee sitting in there.
Yeah, I'm not a huge believer in Tennessee. Got to be honest. Their offense really scares me. I know they have a good resume, and their computer metrics line up with being a top-tier team. They just scare me that they can lay an egg. And when you talk about teams later this week, when I look at teams that are potential Final Four teams or second weekend teams, Tennessee would be in my second weekend team category. I don't think that Tennessee is a team that I would trust. They are a team that if they play consistently has the talent and the ability to get there because they defend at a high level, but I don't trust their offense to not have an off night in the 2 weeks of the tournament to get to that third weekend, to get to the Final Four. But I do think that their resume backs up a 2 seed right now. I'd have them as the 8th team for me. I'd have them as the last 2 seed in the field.
One team coming on strong, the Baylor Bears. They won the national championship 2 years ago. Playing good basketball. Iowa State, another team, had a big weekend, knocking off Kansas. Boy, every night in the Big 12. I mean, if you're Kansas, you've just gone through Kansas State. You guys were there last week. Then all of a sudden you play, Iowa State. And now tonight you're playing
Texas.
You're playing Texas.
My Lord.
I mean, it never ends.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Now, I notice I'm sitting here. Okay, so then you have, which comes as no surprise to anybody. I'm surprised they're not on the top line.
What?
The Xavier Musketeers, though ranked 16th in the country, you have them a 3 seed.
Yeah, I think they'll probably get up to 13th or somewhere in there today. Virginia took a loss over the weekend to Virginia Tech. So I bumped them up. Marquette and Xavier for me right now are interchangeable, and that game on the 15th next week will tell me a lot. Marquette does have a game tomorrow night at UConn, which is a massive game for the Big East standings because if UConn wins that game, it's in Connecticut. If UConn wins that game, that gives Xavier the inside track for the Big East. I do think that the Big East champion will be either Xavier or Marquette. Right now, I would probably lean to Marquette just because of the easier schedule. But Marquette has famously not played well in February at all over the last 3 to 4 years. So if they can avoid a February collapse, their schedule probably sets up better. Xavier still has to go to Marquette, to Providence, to Seton Hall, who is tracking maybe to get into the Dayton conversation as well. Seton Hall rallied for a nice win. Yes, not nice, but didn't lose to DePaul yesterday at home. Xavier and Marquette. I have Xavier on that 3 line because right now they are in first in the Big East and have the tiebreaker over Marquette for the 1 seed in the Big East, and I think the 1 seed in the Big East will be on the 3 line. So that's why I have Xavier there right now. Marquette wins the Big East, I'd flip them. Virginia, Again, the ACC is so bad this year that I think you have to probably have the ACC champion on the 3 line. I'm not even sure Virginia's going to win the ACC at this point. I'd have to look at the standings. I haven't looked at the standings in the last week or so. They might not, and if they don't, I'd bump them down. They're 17-4 on the year. They lost to Virginia Tech over the weekend. They beat Baylor and Illinois on neutral floors back in November, but that was a long time ago. I don't know what to do with the ACC. I really don't, because Duke and UNC are both going to make the tournament. Duke will end up being a 6 seed, maybe 6 or 7 seed. UNC will make the tournament. So where everybody talks about Duke and UNC being down this year, they are down relative to their standards, but Duke's in a coaching change and everything else. I have no idea what to do with Virginia in the ACC. I mean, you look at Clemson, who right now is on top of the ACC at 10-3. By the computers, they're 68th in the country. And are they going to really hold on and win the conference? Then you have Virginia and Pitt right behind them at 9-3 and in second place, a half game behind. I'll say that Virginia ends up winning the ACC, and I'll stick them on the 3 line, but I don't love it. And then the 4 line, I threw Indiana in there. I'm not buying St. Mary's. St. Mary's is like 6th in the net right now and 7th on KenPom. I'm not buying St. Mary's either. I'm not buying the WCC. Gonzaga stinks. St. Mary's might stink. They have an incredible freshman, Aiden Mahaney. A ton of fun if you watch that game on Saturday night at 10:30 out there at St. Mary's. That was a great game. Went to overtime. St. Mary's won. Mahaney was incredible in overtime. But I'm just not buying St. Mary's having as many quad 3 losses as quad 1 wins. But for some reason the computers are, and I'll throw them in there as the 16th team. So there's my top 4 seeds.
I am very surprised, and I know it's 5 out of 16, so you're talking almost 1/3. But I am surprised you don't have more Big 12 teams in there. I just look at what these teams have to go through compared to, on the top line, compared to Purdue and Houston, compared to Tennessee. I don't think the SEC is any good. I mean, either way, it's fine. Compared to Xavier, compared to Virginia. Well, I mean, schools like TCU, and there are others, they have played, vastly stronger night in and night out teams every single night just because of the conference they play in. I'm not putting St. Mary's on a 4 line ahead of somebody that's been banging around all year in the Big 12.
Yeah, I would agree with you that I probably would have TCU as a.
I didn't mean just them. There are other good teams in that league.
No, TCU I think is really the only one in the conversation of it that I don't already have on that list, because I already have Texas, Iowa State, Kansas, and Kansas State and Baylor up there. That's 5 of the top 6 in the Big 12. I did not put TCU in there. I put St. Mary's over TCU. TCU probably would have been my top 5 seed. TCU's taken on some water in the Big 12, which again is the best conference.
Well, they've
in the
been
country,
missing a lot of players.
So
their best player has not played in 2 of their losses.
Yeah, Eddie Lampkin.
No, I'm talking about Miles.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he missed 2 games when they got beat.
Okay, yeah. There are definitely some mitigating things there with TCU, but I'll throw 5 of the top 6 in the Big 12. I think the Big 12 will end up getting 7 teams in comfortably, potentially 8. West Virginia has really, really good metrics, even though they're only 3-7 in the Big 12 right now. They do have a winning record. I'd like to see West Virginia get back to 500 in the Big 12 to get in, which I think they can do. They're playing a lot better right now. West Virginia just beat Oklahoma by like 30 over the weekend, 32.
Yep.
Texas Tech won't get in.
That's why you guys ready to hang up Hugs last week. You
guys
are ready to hang him up?
Hugs has longer on the leash than Boeheim does. Boeheim was an embarrassment over the weekend.
What was embarrassing with him over the weekend?
He asking good questions.
Yeah, after the show, I'll show you.
He's always been a cranky dude. I mean, always been a cranky guy. You know, he comes across and he's painted oftentimes by these network-level announcers. Oh, Jim Bay, I mean, great. He's had great success.
Yeah.
He is not a pleasant guy when it comes to – Did he beat up on some kids or something that asked questions?
Well, so 2 press conferences. This is different. This is now 2 press conferences in a row that he's done this, or 2 in the last week. So 2, like last week, the first thing that happened that brought up our whole discussion with it last week was that a student reporter came in. The first question that he asked in the press conference was about the health of a player, and he went off on this kid. And then what happened over the week?
Let me interrupt. He jumped on the kid because of like a HIPAA thing, or
asking a question of availability. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
Right. Okay.
I didn't.
Right.
Yeah. It was just the kid asked a fair question. Boeheim didn't give him the time of day.
Okay.
Then over the weekend, the way I interpret it was that he was basically accusing like 3 different programs of paying for teams and buying teams and the NIL thing, and he just went off, and it was a bizarre rant, and he checked all the boxes. He just went after everybody. He checked like 7 different boxes of people that he was getting mad at, and it was not a good look, and it makes it seem like he's probably going to come back again next year. But man, Boeheim's got to hang out.
Well, there's an update on this story 23 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. What happened? What is it?
Jim Boeheim issued a public apology this morning after
surprise.
accusing 3 ACC opponents of buying players over the weekend. He said he'd like to clarify his remarks that he had with a media member. Said, I apologize to the schools I mentioned. I believe the ACC member institutions are in compliance with NCAA rules governing NIL. It was not my intention to imply otherwise. So his quote was, this is an awful place we're in with college basketball. Pittsburgh bought a team. Now we're clarifying that. Okay, fine. He said, my big donor talks about it, but he doesn't give anyone any money. Nothing. Not one guy. Our guys make $20,000. Wake Forest bought a team. Miami bought a team. These were his comments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He says, really, this is where we are? That's really where we are, and it's only going to get worse. He said, longtime coaches are leaving the profession because of changes that the NIL has brought to the sport. Now, I do believe that. And he went on to say that he's convinced that's why both Jay Wright and Mike Krzyzewski got out.
Yeah.
Dealing with that nonsense.
I agree. Jay Wright was phenomenal. He's so good, man.
He really is.
He was on the broadcast yesterday for Ohio State, Michigan.
Yep.
He is so good. He's so good. And I'm glad we get to hear him in the booth and he didn't completely go away from the college game. But, I truly do believe Jay Wright got out for that reason. And I credit to him. Credit to the guys that got – now, Krzyzewski hung on too long. But credit to a guy like Jay Wright who recognized the issue right away, had a good team, realized he was going to have to reset. I mean, Villanova did have Cam Whitmore, who's going to go to the NBA draft this year. He's going to be a first-round talent, probably a lottery pick this year. And he realized, we'll be good, but we won't be Final Four good next year. He got out. So credit to him. You don't think Syracuse is Syracuse, I mean, that's – Syracuse is a good program, and that's what's sad about it is they're a good program with resources and a media empire behind them that just can't win right now because they have a coach that's hung on for probably 10 years too long.
What's the media empire behind them?
Just all the Syracuse grads that have come out of
there. That's
there.
what I'm talking about. Everybody talking him up all the time because they're all Syracuse alumni, right?
Yeah. So now you get down into this situation where you have a coach that needs to probably retire, and he's just held on a little too long. And Syracuse has made miracle NCAA tournament runs lately, but they were in the Final Four not too long ago. They went to the Sweet 16, Elite Eight. I mean, they've been around. It's not like they're completely irrelevant. They just it's just tired. But to getting back to one more thing to finish it up, I saw somebody in the chat made a good point about how there are no great teams in college basketball this year. I feel like every year we get to a point, and I do the same thing. Obviously, I cover the Big East a lot. We do a same thing where I go to the Big East tournament every year, and in our preview show for the Big East tournament, we always say, "Oh, it's so wide open this year," but really, there's always Villanova hanging over your head, and Villanova consistently wins the Big East tournament. That's not the case this year in the Big East, and it truly is. When we say that, when we say it's wide open, it truly is wide open. I look at college basketball every year, and I say, I know, it's every year, it's wide open or whatever. But then you look like 2 or 3 years ago, you say that. They did have a dominant team in Gonzaga that was trying to go undefeated. You don't have a team this year, in my mind, you don't have a team this year that you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, these two teams or the 1 seed. Some years you get it where you might not have one team, but at least the 1 seed line is very clearly head and shoulders above everybody else. Arizona could get hot here in the last couple of weeks and easily slot themselves up into that 1 line. Purdue catches another loss. They're not going to – Purdue will stay on the 1 line. Alabama will probably stay on the 1 line. But
Houston's going to stay on the 1 line.
Houston almost looks like they just don't care anymore about the AAC. It's like yesterday they were winning or tied at halftime, or it was close at halftime. And they go on and they win by 16. I think Temple only made 8 shots in the second half, something crazy like that. After Temple beat Houston in Houston earlier this year, I think Houston just needs to get back to the NCAA tournament. But I will always contend. And this is just a personal belief of mine, I will always contend that I will take a team that can outscore you like Alabama or like Xavier or like a Marquette. I will always take a team like that over a team like UCLA or a Houston or one of those that relies too heavily on their defense. Because if you go cold, and this is a great perspective on a Houston team where if you get down into a game where it's, say, 52-46 and Houston's winning, 52-46 in a Houston game feels like a ton. But you're 2 threes away from feeling like you're right. You're 2 threes, you're 2 possessions away from being right back in the game. And that's where if you get down to these teams that are so defensively these defensive-minded teams, I trust the offense more than I trust the defense. I have never once in my life been a believer in the defense wins championships. I think defense puts you in a position to win championships. Defense does not win championships. I think good offense in college basketball will always win you a championship in this day and age. And not saying you can't, you have to at least be serviceable. These teams that just want to score in the hundreds, that's not going to work either. But I'm not going to buy a Houston or a UCLA like I am in Alabama or even a Purdue to a certain extent. But Purdue just they got a freak, Zach Edey, 7'4". And a 7'4" player who can really play basketball too, and it's a lot of fun to watch. It's so funny.
Paul, they're wondering if you should have a shot clock.
Hey, if you guys.
I'm not interrupting you. I'm just saying on the chat, Reed Mouse just said, should there be a shot clock? You had one on Casey. And they want to know, should Casey have one now? Since we're shifting gears into your realm of expertise, which is unbelievable, should you have a shot clock?
I mean, if you want.
I didn't ask if I wanted. I'm asking you were the one that would punch the button on Casey. Right?
Casey, I let you go.
Should Casey be able to punch one on you?
I don't know about Brandon. Brandon's going to hop in. Brandon's the shot clock operator.
No, but this is good stuff because, Paul, you know we're kidding around. I mean, this is good stuff because, look, I think a lot of us, as we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with the show, is trying to kind of get a primer getting going here where we can get caught up on a lot of this stuff for the last couple of weeks because the conference tournaments start, first week of March?
Yeah, mid-major week is the first week of March, and then all the major conferences are the 8th to the 12th. Of March. Yep. 7th to the 12th, whatever that second week is. Selection Sunday is March 12th.
March 12th.
Yep.
Okay. So then that will go that'll go up. Yeah. That'll definitely go into obviously into April as it always does, but that will be fun. Getting us there. Okay, so what we're going to do is over the next few days is, Paul, let's figure out a conference or two, okay?
We'll do 2 conferences a day?
We'll do 2 conferences a day, and as of right now, we'll go through the conference outside of the total bottom feeders and some of these, you know.
We'll do the top 7.
Who's in and who's out as of right now, okay?
We'll do 2 conferences a day. We'll do it in alphabetical order. We'll do the AAC because of Cincinnati.
Fair enough.
And we'll go through and we'll talk about just how the conferences have done. We'll do the Power 6 and the AAC, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Do that.
That's great stuff.
All right.
So you were going to say?
Nothing. I was just going to see if you guys wanted to transition to phone calls.
Let's try it.
For that?
Are we ready to go?
Oh, my God. We're taking
here we
calls.
go. It's a big step. It's a big step. I wish there was a way that we could, some of the regulars on here would be the first one to be our inaugural show. So I want to make sure that I can read this myself. So our number is that 6 what?
605 313 5854.
5854. So 6.
And once you call that number in, you're going to enter in that code at the bottom with a pound sign or whatever that, the star sign, whatever that they call it. And that will get you into the waiting period. And then I'm going to screen the phone calls, and we're going to go from there. This may be a little bumpy.
It's okay.
This is the first time we're doing it. We're doing it live, so let's see how it works.
Okay. And again, we ask, look, please just be kind, okay? There's no sense in like, you want to go back and get your chuckles laughing at yourself or getting somebody else to laugh at yourself if you watched a replay of it on YouTube or something. Okay, that's fine. If that's who you are, great. But otherwise, we have a lot of regulars that are with us. Paul reminds us his college basketball podcast, The Rebound Rundown, is daily. And so, for those of you, you got your appetites wet here in this whole deal, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, by all means, check it out.
Yeah.
And they can find that where? Anywhere a podcast is,
Apple,
right?
Spotify, yeah. I recorded around midnight, 12:30, 1 a.m. After the last college basketball game is done every night, I record it. It's just 8, 9, 10 minutes, and it's everything you need to know. It's mostly the local teams. I recap every single local game from all the 8 or 9 local teams that I cover, and then I'll do a national segment at the end as well, especially as we're getting in now and we know teams that are going to make it and aren't. So, yeah.
Jordan says put Sir Boy Wonder on first, but hey, look, we don't know who's going to get through first. It's pretty complicated down there at the bottom with the code thing. I think that's something we're going to need to work on, right?
We're not sure if we can get rid of the access code. That's the problem.
I got you. Okay. Well, we're working on all this stuff.
We're trying.
So once somebody gets on there, and again, bear with us. We're trying this for the first time. We're hoping to have Brian Billick coming on at 11:30. He had a doctor's appointment this morning. He's getting ready to go down to the Super Bowl tomorrow. I'm heading out to Phoenix, in fact, this weekend. We'll not be going to the Super Bowl, but we'll be there in Phoenix, where I called home for 14 years. My wife, born and raised out there, still has family out there, so we are going out there. And our son wants to, for the first time ever, check out that Waste Management golf tournament, that 16th hole. Has anybody watched the replay of that last year on the hole-in-one?
Oh, it's awesome.
I mean, I remember in the days when that thing used to be called the Phoenix Open. Now it's a Waste Management Phoenix, whatever. But, I mean, when I was living out there, that whole thing was just getting going. You had a bunch of students that would come up from Arizona State, maybe about a 10-mile ride from down in Tempe up to the northern part of Scottsdale where they hold the tournament out at the TPC there at Scottsdale. And it was just kind of getting going. It'd be a bunch of kids coming out on a Thursday or a Friday, drinking beer in the afternoon. They'd huddle around that 16th hole. There were none of the tents and all that. Now they've got the whole thing enclosed entirely. I mean, you look at a picture of that thing now, it's unbelievable. So he's going to check it out. All right. So 605-313-5854. 605-313-5854. And then you go to the code 537. They have to put the dash in?
Nope.
All right, so just 537047 6-star, correct?
Correct.
So Sir Boy Wonder says he's trying to call in and it's not working.
Okay,
So.
well, we're working through all this because we were just starting to talk about this here the last couple of days, and so we're trying to get it going. All right, what else while we're waiting on that? I saw where they did the Madden run like Brandon was doing, the Madden run through the Super Bowl matchup, and they say that the Eagles are going to win the game. The Philadelphia Eagles. Now, you've made it very clear, Casey, you believe that is the deal. The Eagles are going to win.
I do believe so.
Okay, well, the Madden simulator, let's see. Let's see. The Madden NFL 23's official simulation is predicting the Eagles to pull away in the second half and easily handle the Kansas City Chiefs. 31-17. I'm not buying that.
That's a lot. 31-17. The over didn't even hit there.
They have Jalen Hurts winning the MVP, saying he's going to throw for 282 yards and 2 touchdowns and run for 88 yards and another touchdown. Wow. Okay. And this is all on a, 31-17. And according to the simulator, Travis Kelce is going to catch the first touchdown of the game to put Kansas City ahead. So they are basically getting boat raced in this game, according to the Madden simulator. Brandon, how accurate was the simulations you were doing as he's sitting there with a mouthful of food?
I think we were off three games.
Only off 3 games. From winner or loser?
Yep.
So all the other ones predicted accurately outside of the 3, the Bengals games over the course of the year. Wow.
And the Pittsburgh game was one that was wrong.
The
First game of the year.
First game of the year had the Bengals beating the Steelers.
Oh, walk-off kick.
Yeah, and the walk-off kick, overtime, and the Bengals turned the ball over 5 times in that game. So, but that's the deal. Paul, what are you thinking about that game?
I'm leaning Eagles right now. I'm going to let the week play out a little longer, but I think I'm leaning Eagles right now. Yeah, I think so, right? I think that's what we're doing. Eagles make sense. I don't know. I don't know. I keep going back and forth. In a pick'em game like this, usually I would take the underdog, get the plus odds.
Yep.
But
I just don't know how anybody picks against Mahomes. I really don't.
yeah,
I'm not saying the guy's going to win, but what's his 3rd time to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? Right?
yeah.
Won 1, lost 1, playing on one leg, finds a way to get it done. In the win over the Bengals last Sunday, he's got 2 weeks now to get that ankle even better. I think everybody thought it was a miracle in and of itself after he got injured in the Jacksonville game. That, there were people predicting that, the adrenaline of the Jacksonville game, if they gave him a shot during that game to get him back on the field after he came out for a little bit, that combination of adrenaline and whatever would get him through the Jacksonville game. But then once he got up Monday morning, there were people predicting this guy would be walking around on crutches Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yeah.
He's bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, he did aggravate it during the game. We saw that. But now 2 full weeks to get ready. Jalen Hurts has had a phenomenal year. Was the best player on the best team the whole year. But Mahomes is pretty doggone good, even though Casey doesn't want to come to that realization.
We're still working here on the.
I just reset the software. If people want to try to call in, one more time.
All right, it should work now.
All right. So again, is that an 8 or is that an O?
Those are O's. Those are
Okay.
zeros.
Okay. So 605-313-5854. And you go to, once you get in there, 537-8476 star.
That's zero.
Yeah, that's a 0. So we put it up in the top of the chat. The pinned.
Well, what's a 0?
All those are zeros, except for the 5854 and the phone number.
Well, where is there another 0?
It's 5. So it's 605-313-5854. That's the phone number. And then the code is 537-047.
Oh, okay.
6 and then star.
Okay, I see.
Sir Boy Wonder.
He's got to get in there, right?
I mean,
he's got to be the first one in there.
He said he tried. Sir Boy Wonder has been the person asking for phone calls for the last 3 months.
Boy, they're wearing us out for this number.
Well,
I mean, you know what? And they're right. They're wearing us out. I shouldn't have dropped this on Casey today to try and do this today, because that's just too much going on. I mean, it's not like you can just all of a sudden, boom, 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 and you're in.
Well, the thing is, I just tested it on my phone. It worked fine. So I don't know what's going on. I guess those people can't follow directions.
Uh-oh.
Well, and they're having a hard time like
Oh.
I am reading what the numbers are. I mean, the 8 looks like a 0. The 0 looks like an 8.
But there's an oh, well. I posted it in the YouTube comment section for a clearer look. And if you can't read that, then
Now, some people are wondering, why is it a long-distance number?
So,
Not that it matters on most phone, services in this day and age, but some it does.
I'm not really sure,
Okay.
to be honest.
Okay. Well, they're getting all over Trace about that. All over him. All right, boys, what else is on your mind here today?
wait, hold on.
Hold on.
We might have something here. Oh, God.
Let's see here. Hang on.
Oh.
Oh, they just left.
We had somebody.
We had
and
someone,
they hung up.
and they left.
It might have been Sir Boy Wonder. Joshua says it's just a digital phone service. Is that what it is?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a website that we're going through. It's not an actual we're not picking up a number. It's a website. It's free.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to give them free advertising.
Okay.
But it's yes.
All right, what else we got? Anybody thinking about anything else going on right now? I know you guys are over there trying hard on the phone call.
Let's see here. We did have something, right? We had I was looking at the chat. There was something that people wanted to talk about. Yeah, we had somebody in here, and it's gone. All right. We did the Super Bowl. We've done college basketball. We have done Pro Bowl. Did you watch the Pro Bowl yesterday, Tom?
I did not. But I did see the highlight where I loved Jamar Chase breaking out the gritty.
And then he threw the ball to T. Higgins.
And Tyler Boyd tried to offer him a bottle of tequila.
Yeah, I thought, and Burrow's out there with him. I thought it was a good event.
Is Bro there?
They did a
think
few
he is, isn't
things
he?
that were kind of cool. We talked about it, and I know, look, everybody badmouthed the game, and I get it. I announced one of those things before, and, you're not a lot of hitting going on. You don't want guys getting hurt. Look, they're just coming up with ideas. And the easiest thing in the world is to just sit there and take shots at the NFL. And I'm not beholden to the NFL, but, at least they're trying to do something. And obviously there's an appetite for it out there, because it looked to me on television like that place in Vegas had a serious crowd at a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah. I thought people were trying. I thought it was fun.
What was the hit on Tyreek Hill? Did he get blown up by somebody in the corner of the end zone?
Yeah. I saw
in
the
a flag
highlight.
game.
Yeah. I saw the highlight. It's brutal. Wait, hold on. We might have somebody.
Hi, are you calling into the show?
Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah, Joshua says, look, it looked like everyone was actually
there?
trying
Hello?
in the flag football game.
Hi.
Joshua said, my kids really wanted to watch it.
So, yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Now, is that going out over the air?
I don't know.
You can hear me, right?
Hold on. Okay, I think we're good.
All right, so I'm going to get you on the show here in just a second, all right?
All right, here we go.
Is that going out over the air when I
No.
hear Casey talking
No,
to
he's
somebody?
talking to the person on the phone.
Okay, but I can hear him.
We can
They're
hear.
saying
Okay.
his mic is hot.
Oh, God.
Oh no.
All right, so
again, we're just working through some of the wrinkles here.
we should be able to talk to. Yep, your mic is hot now.
All right.
There he is.
Who do we have here to start off our first inaugural caller?
It's a little hard to hear, but you might be disappointed that it's not Sir Boy Wonder.
It's okay. Who is this?
It's a little hard to hear, but you might be disappointed.
Oh, no.
It's Sir Boy.
Boom shakalaka, baby.
Attaboy, Boom Shakalaka. One of our favorite nicknames of anything. You are the very first caller ever, Boom Shakalaka, here on Off the Bench, and we appreciate you taking the time and your patience coming through. You doing all right today?
I'm fantastic. Boys, I don't have anything intelligent to say. I just wanted to congratulate you on how great this show is, how well you all seem to adapt and overcome anytime there's a transition between sports. I love it.
Well, Boom Shot, what part of town you in, Boom?
I live in Fairfield.
Attaboy. All right, so you're just right down the road. We can't thank you enough
Right
for
down
being
the
with
road.
us all the time, man. Thanks so much.
Do we have, the only question I would have is, do we have a spot yet lined up? We think we're going to do a live show somewhere for March Madness?
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely have something lined up for March Madness.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. We will have some stuff coming up, and we'll let you and everybody else know what we're going to do as far as going somewhere and watching some of the games and getting involved with Betfred or something where we can all start making some bets. Is that all right with you? You'll come out and join us, right?
I'm there, baby.
All right, baby. We love it. Boom shakalaka.
There it is.
Keep up the great work, fellas. I love it.
Thank you, brother. Boy, it's great to hear from him. I mean, everybody all fired up.
Let's go, Casey. You got it done.
Casey.
Good job, Casey.
Casey.
Casey's sweating bullets over here.
Everett and everybody wishing Boom congratulations.
There we go.
That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
It's good to have. So that was our first call. We're gonna continue to navigate through this, and again, hoping that Andrew, thanks for your heads up as well. Hoping that we can start to do this more regularly.
Yeah, it'll be a much smoother process next time.
No, I mean,
promise.
we know it's the first time we've tried it. It's the first time we've tried it. You know, I was sitting there thinking though, all right, about ideas over the weekend about what to do with this show. I mean, seriously, let's take a look at this right now as we sit here this very minute at 11:15. We've been here an hour and 15 minutes. We talked a ton about college basketball, hit the Super Bowl a little bit, and we'll talk more about that the remainder of the week. But we got to find ways to start, generating the kind of interest, and it's not going to be the same as it was during football season. That's naive to believe. And we talked about baseball coming up. But for a lot of you that have been with us from the very beginning, and I'd be curious to get your opinions on, should we start drifting into some other things? Do we start drifting into, things going on in and around town, right? Should we start getting into, having interviews with musicians?
Oh.
Try to hunt down TV or movie people. I mean, do we think about that?
I was at the Blind Lemon. Saw your name up on the wall, Tom.
Well, I'm a regular at the Blind Lemon. My main man, Eddie Shepard, who's owned that place for 52 years, him and his wife, Pat, they're like my second parents. I used to live at their house every winter when I was doing the UC basketball games. And so I live in Chicago, so I drive back and forth and stay at their house. And yeah. What you didn't notice, though, there is only one picture. Now, at the Bar and Grill 2 doors down, which the Shepherds also own, there are lots of pictures. There's pictures of a lot of the actors and actresses from the Playhouse in the Park. There are political, both sides of the aisle. I mean, there are pictures anywhere in there from, Ted Kennedy to Rush Limbaugh to whatever, autographed pictures to Ed Shepard, right? There's only one picture in the Blind Lemon. Only one. If you walk in the Blind Lemon and you go back to the back room, and as you walk into the back room and immediately look over your left shoulder next to the fireplace, there is a picture of Ed Shepard and me and my dad. my last night in Cincinnati before I left to announce the Cubs games. From 1989. Only picture in the blind limit.
Huh. Next time I go pretty often. Next time I go, I'll have to check it out.
It's still pound for pound. It's the best joint in this town, bar none.
Yeah.
Were you in there with your girl?
Yeah, me, Lizzie, and then 2 of our friends from college went. We sat outside by the fire. It is elite because you can go and it's 40 degrees or 30 degrees and you're fine. You sit outside by that fire. Oh, it's great.
It's the best. It is the best.
We have a guest joining us here in just a second. Not a phone call, but we do have a guest. Brian Billick.
Oh, good. Brian was able to get back. Okay, great.
But yeah, it's good. Everett, how's the air up there?
Reed Mouse asked the question, is he the only one excited for the World Baseball Classic? And the answer to that is without a doubt.
Is that happening this year?
He is the only one that is excited about that. That I can tell you.
I'm guessing it is if Reed's talking about it.
I mean,
am I the only one that's excited for FCC's start back up?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Casey.
It's coming up. It's the
go
end of
again.
February.
it's interesting. Somebody from Channel 19 today, I don't know if it's Frank Marzullo or somebody else, somebody tweeted that out today asking the question, are you more excited for FC Cincinnati or the Reds? I mean, just the idea that FC Cincinnati was running neck and neck, if not ahead of the Reds, that tells you all you need to know. All right. Kind enough to join us from Columbus, Ohio, on his way out to the Super Bowl winning head coach Brian Billick. Brian, I got to ask you, I saw getting some pub that there is this documentary thing coming out on the Baltimore Ravens. What do you know about that?
Yeah, it was on last night. It's a 30 for 30 segment. It's unbelievable. They filmed it last fall. Basically, is the anniversary of our first Super Bowl, and they brought together myself, Shannon Sharp, Rod Woodson, Trent Dilfer, Marvin Lewis, God rest his soul, Tony Saragusa, which was very prophetic to have him, and did it at the Meyerhoff in Baltimore with all the fans. There were 3,000 fans there, and then basically just a rehashing or a revisiting of that special times. And I have not seen it yet. I taped it. I was traveling yesterday, but it was on last night, and it was a 30 for 30 segment. I'm anxious to see it.
I'm curious, when you're getting ready to go down to the Super Bowl out in Arizona tomorrow, and I'm curious, the first thing pops in your mind about the Super Bowl when you were the head coach and took the Ravens there. Was it the second the game ended? Was it something during the game? Was it something during the week?
Well, it's obviously such a special time. And in looking back in retrospect and having been around the Super Bowls the way I have, both for Fox and the NFL Network, just the scope and the size of the Super Bowl, which for me, I was totally oblivious to. We were at the hotel and we went to practice and came back. And for the whole week, and you hope your players are the same way. But it was, and particularly this year, because I was just out in Phoenix, to know that the Phoenix Open and the Super Bowl are both going on at the same time. Phoenix is not, and I don't know that Phoenix is totally ready for the invasion of the Philly fan. As you know, that's a different breed. That they may. This could be one for the record book. But for us, it was just the fact that to me, I was totally oblivious of all the things going on. And then afterwards, you realize. I always tell the story. Obviously the party went all night. It was phenomenal. But in the infinite wisdom of the NFL, they make the head coach get up and have an 8:00 news conference.
Yeah.
The next morning, and about 6 a.m. or so, I left the party and went back to the suite to shower and had in the shower, for lack of a better term, kind of a panic attack, because it was like, oh my God, what do I do now? I mean, it was just in our second year. And the expectations that you create, and it was, but it was a very special time, and obviously great memories every time I go back to the Super Bowl of our time there.
Where is that fine line, Brian? You got 2 weeks now before the game. They vacillated on that from time to time, whether it would be a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is. Now pretty much etched in stone, it's going to be 2 weeks. But when you're sitting down to create the schedule, and you alluded to it, but I'd like to hear a little bit more detail on that. Where's the fine line on being able, your players being able to enjoy the Super Bowl and some of the things that go on that don't always have to entail, going out and drinking all night or all that kind of thing? I mean, where is the line there?
Well, the most common bit of advice I got throughout, whether it was Bill Walsh or Dan Reeves or anybody that I sought input from, was don't over-coach or don't over-game plan. If you try to use the entire 2 weeks, it's going to be stale by the end of. So we used the first week. We had to go the free agent, the wild card route. So we played a lot of games all on the road. So I used that first week. We did nothing physically. We met kind of rudimentary, some game plan things. Spent most of the time, okay, how do you get your tickets? Who's going to travel down, the hotel, all those arrangements. And our administrative staff did a phenomenal job. Had the game plan installed, even though we hadn't physically practiced it, by Sunday. We could have played the game that first Sunday, at least from a game planning standpoint. And then we came down, I think, on a Monday, and now you try to put them on a normal routine. And you do stress, look, Tampa, our Super Bowl was in Tampa. Tampa's great, but you really want to experience Tampa, do it later, okay? We're here to work. And yeah, you're going to have family down and whatever, and you want to have that kind of, enjoy live the experience, so to speak. But we're here to work. And so when we got down there, then our practices, I kind of surprised the players. I put them in pads the first week or the first practice just to kind of set a tone that, okay, we need to kind of get our pads back underneath us, put the game plan in physically because we already had it in mentally. And you really work hard to keep on them on what felt as best you could a normal week of preparation leading to the game on Sunday.
Now, when I've been to and covered more from a broadcasting standpoint, national championship games in college football, is the deal when you get to Phoenix, and most fans don't know the answer to this question, most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, when your team gets into town, and most of the teams will come out, today, tomorrow, something like that?
Well, most on Monday. Probably, I don't know what they're doing, but most teams usually go in on Monday.
Okay, and so you basically are given a practice field to go practice. I guess one team maybe theoretically is given the Arizona Cardinals workout facility, and the other one is given a local high school field, right? So you got all that transportation.
I think they do it out at Arizona State.
Or Arizona State. Okay. So, Phoenix is so spread out. Much more spread out than Tampa, as an example. And Tampa's pretty spread out, but nothing like Arizona. Do you allow the players to? I mean, do you have a curfew every night?
Well, and you're right, it is different compared to when it's in New Orleans or when it was in Indianapolis, where everything's just right there, which is kind of neat. Having covered the games like you have from a media standpoint, it's great when everything's right there. Phoenix, you're right, it's just so spread out. And and where they're staying, I'm not sure exactly where they're staying, but it was like before. Last time I was there was when it was the Giants in New England. I mean, they're at some golf resort. They're spread out all over the place. And like I said, it's a crazy week. Yeah, you do, because we came in Monday, and you do your media obligations, and then Tuesday was their day off, and we gave them their day off. So you do whatever you want to do. But there again, particularly in Phoenix, the fact that you got both the Open and the Super Bowl, it's like, okay, well, really, what do you want to do? You better make your plans early to go out to dinner. Our families didn't come down until Wednesday. And so the players just kind of kick back on Tuesday, and then now you get back into, like you said, the normal routine of practice. Then the families come in. We had our families at a separate hotel because again, we wanted to kind of keep that. Okay, you're here, and everybody was in the separate hotel. And so you try to keep it on that same schedule. Let the families have fun and do all the things going on. And you're going to be involved with it, but the players understood. It also gave the players a great out by being in a separate hotel. As I said, okay, just put it on me, because you may not want to go do this with your family. Say, hey, I'd love to, but coach says I can't, and so I let them. I could be the bad guy if they wanted to, because most of them just wanted to kind of just chill and get ready for the game.
One final little, just because people aren't privy to this kind of thing. When you guys set up in a hotel, whatever that team hotel is, a lot of people, whether you're a salesperson, whatever the case may be, you go to these, conventions you have, and you have these enormous second and third and fourth level of convention spaces at some of these hotels. Those are typically the kind of places where you guys would go because you have so many people there. I mean, you're setting up everything. There are meeting rooms from one end of the place to the other. Medically, talk about the way that's set up. It's almost like a little mini hospital in there, right?
Yeah, it is. Basically, we took over the entire hotel, and you couldn't get in there unless you were part of the organization. We had an administrative floor. We had our meeting levels, and obviously where the therapy and the guys could get their massages and chiropractors and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously in their rooms. I remember that David Modell, God rest his soul, was our president, and he had told the administrative group, he said, look, because we know what a coach is. Because you know me, I'm like every anal, retentive, obsessive coach. I'm going to constantly, okay, what's going on here? What's going on there? We good. And he got the entire organization and said, look, when coach makes his swing through the administrative wing, I don't care if there are bodies in the closet. I don't care if cars have blown up. When he says everything, it's sure, great, no problem, coach, no problem. So all week I'm thinking, boy, we got this thing nailed. There has not been problem one. I didn't realize there were people missing and buses blown up and all that stuff going on because they just, oh no, we're good, coach. Nope, don't worry about it. You're fine. Go back to whatever it is you do.
Look, players play, coaches coach. Generally, the team with the best players executing the way they're supposed to win the game. Is it an advantage that Andy Reid has been through this stuff? I mean, just twice in the last 3 years, third time now in the last 4.
It's an advantage if your players are used to it because, again, they know the routine. We relied heavily on a Shannon Sharp and a Rod Woodson who had been to Super Bowls because I had a team that really hadn't experienced that and really relied on their experiences to kind of set the tone and the pacing of the week. That's the biggest thing is the players dealing with all the distraction, all the other things going on and understanding what that pacing is. So from that standpoint, yeah, it is. If the more players that you have, the better it is that they just, this is how this happens. And and then it's obviously once you get done with practice on Friday, from Friday after practice until Sunday game time, that is the longest 48 hours in your life because it just, and that again, you have to prepare your players for that. And the game is like no other game. Because of pregame and how long it is. And it's a 20-minute or 30-minute halftime. So you try to prepare for it. Okay, this is just a game to us, but this is going to feel different. So you try to stay a little focused on that. But the way and I'm sure most teams do it, the way we had it, and we were kind of sequestered in that hotel in Tampa down near the airport, was a Hyatt, I think. We had the whole place. And so we were on lockdown and it was like being in our facility. So it worked out great.
When you look at this game, obviously you've got the two best teams. I don't think there's any doubt about that. At least they were during the regular season and proved to be obviously in the playoffs. Is there one team you like more than another? It's basically a pick-em game.
Yeah, it is. And obviously you have to Patrick Mahomes is such a unique, dynamic player. We've talked about that a million times. I think the physicality of Philadelphia, their ability to put pressure on a Patrick Mahomes, who's still not going to be 100% on that leg. He's going to be fine. We saw that, but not 100%. Their ability to put just a 4-man rush on Patrick Mahomes and therefore gives them more latitude to do things on the back end to shut down a Kelsey and not give up the big plays. I don't think Kansas City has played as physical a group as this Philadelphia group on both sides of the ball. And I think, obviously, with Jalen Hurts to run around and make some plays and their ability to run the ball and then make plays down the field, I think the Kansas City defense is going to be challenged in the way I actually thought they were going to be challenged against Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati would run the ball better. Now, there still was a good game. It was only a 3-point loss. But I thought, particularly when you got into that second half, Cincinnati was going to be able to kind of crank that running game up. I think the physicality of the offensive and defensive lines of Philadelphia is going to make the difference in the game.
All right, my friend. Well, we can't thank you enough, as always, for your time. That's great insight. Have a great rest of your day and safe travels out to Arizona.
All right, we'll do it, man.
All right, buddy. Brian Billick, kind enough to join us. You know, that stuff always interests me so much. When I remember just doing NFL playoff games, which I had a chance to do for Fox a couple times, was, man, when you went in that hotel, wherever that team was staying, and if any of you have ever been to that Hyatt in Tampa, it's right next to the airport. It sits right on the water. There's only like 2 little office buildings back there, about 4 or 5 stories high. That Hyatt is only about 7, 8 stories high. It's not some big, huge high-rise thing. But they have on the 2nd and 3rd and 4th levels these huge spaces for companies to have, you know, their meetings, conventions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, all of those things are turned into whatever team is there, it's their facility. It's their home. I mean, I remember one time the 49ers, Harbaugh was there, I think, at the time, and I was working out and hurt my back, and I've never had any back problems. But they just happened to be, all their medical staff was in there, and I knew, you know, the 49ers guys. I'm like, hey, can they just take a look at this thing? This is like at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. You walked in there and felt like you were in a hospital. It's unbelievable what these players have today. And, you know, then you get into the whole, he's right about Arizona. That waste management week out there, and now you throw in the Super Bowl. But the big, huge outdoor/indoor part of the waste management, and back in the old days, I say old days, back in the mid-90s, when they had moved it from Phoenix Country Club downtown up to Scottsdale, the stadium design, the whole 9 yards. They created this place called the Bird's Nest, or the Crow's Nest, one or the other. I can't remember what it's called. But they would have like bands like, you know, Huey Lewis and the News, or they would have, you know, whoever else. Now, I mean, the Dave Matthews Band, as an example, is like the Tuesday night band. They're not the Thursday night band, or the Friday night band, or the Saturday night band. And you throw in all those clubs that have popped up in Scottsdale over the last number of years, man, tonight, tomorrow night especially, and Wednesday night. Now, you heard Brian, most teams would give their players the day off on Tuesday. Oh, boy. You might want to have GPS on every one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because it's just unbelievable, the nightlife in that town for this week of the Phoenix Open, Waste Management Open, and now you combine that with everything going on in the Super Bowl.
Is Old Town the most dangerous nightlife scene in the country?
Old Town Scottsdale. That'll be going on. That'll really be going on tonight. Wow. All right, let's see. Apparently, while we were away, there's been a lot of talk. Apparently, you know, I asked a question about should we start getting some guys, you know, in movies, or, you know, try to go down that route, music, whatever the case may be. But apparently in the chat, it's been all about fasting, apparently. So maybe this is a kind of thing, you know, that we got to get into. Tracer's brought it up.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Maybe
Tracy
we get
Jones
pros and cons of fasting. A lot of people are trying that intermittent fasting now.
Well, so I had contended for a while that if anybody out there is a personal trainer or wants to make a content segment out of me gaining 30 pounds, which I could very much use, get me up to 200.
I can get you to 30 pounds.
But
what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get to I need to get to 190. I need to look not 15 years old. I'm 26.
You're trying to put on weight?
I certainly don't need to lose it.
Well, dude, I would not be trying to put on. You want to put on muscle weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get fat.
Oh,
Okay.
I can get you weight.
I mean, Taco Bell could help me out with that.
Well, that's for sure.
I go to Taco Bell damn near every day.
Get that.
And then I heard about something last night, which, Paul, I am sure you have heard of this. But, you're always trying to learn things every day, right? As a dad, as a man, as a husband, boyfriend, whatever. Okay, so, our son, who makes his own money, we don't pay for it. He goes out and makes his own money. And what he chooses to do with that money, he's had this routine going on for a long time that on Sundays when football season was on, he'd be watching the Bengals game. He would DoorDash. Okay?
Okay.
And whatever he picked. And, the guy comes and I look at him and say, what did you just pay for that? And he'll tell me, well, I paid $17. I said, so if you'd have driven there and it's 3 miles down the road, it would have cost you $9 or $10, whatever it is, right? He says, yeah. I said, so why would you do that? He says, Dad, I don't have to go anywhere. I can just sit right. I'm like, okay, all right, okay.
Oh, so you're saying he ordered DoorDash?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant he was driving
No.
DoorDash.
We have a couple of his buddies drive, but he has other jobs.
Okay.
So he says to me yesterday, I had flippantly just made the comment, oh, what are we going to do, DoorDash and a run for the border, like one of those deals, right? He's getting all fired up. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Your mom's making dinner like she does every night. We're making dinner here. We're not DoorDashing dinner. He says, Dad, about this DoorDash, almost like a DoorDash pass where you pay $2.50 a month, right? And then you don't pay whatever fee is the surcharge on top of the regular price. You can just tip the driver.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have that?
I don't have it, but I know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I've only ever Uber Eats.
These guys are brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've only ever Uber Eats or DoorDashed, I think one time, maybe twice. When I had COVID a couple years ago and I couldn't get anything, I just had them leave stuff at the door. But, I'm not a huge Uber Eats or DoorDash guy, but I do know what you're talking about because I have one of my very good friends. He DoorDashes almost every night for dinner. He lives by himself, and I'll talk to him at night, and he'll be like, yeah, just DoorDash, whatever. Because if he works after a certain point in the night, he's always working. He works in, banking or something. He's always working. And if he works late enough, his meal is expensed. So he gets a free Uber Eats almost every night. And I'm constantly asking him about it. I'm like, dude, aren't you racking it up? And he goes, well, one, it's paid for. But two, even if it wasn't, I have the membership. I'm like,
Casey, do you know anything about this? Are you a DoorDash guy or an Uber Eats guy? Or
I just used it one time because they give you a promotional. You get so many dollars off if you do sign up for it. So I signed up for it one time, used it a couple times. So when I used to live back in Indianapolis, I worked for one of the big news stations down there, Channel 59. I worked the burning the midnight oil on the third shift, and I would DoorDash food all the time. And back then, I just never used that thing. I wish I did, because it would have saved me so much money. But
so you would DoorDash it to the studio?
Yeah, DoorDash it to the studio, and sometimes we would all take turns. We would all order from one person's phone and one app and one account.
Sir Boy Wonder has that set up. There's a surprise. He's on that monthly charge thing. What's the normal markup? I have never ordered DoorDash. I've seen it come in and out of my house, but I've never ordered it. So if you were to go to, let's just pick McDonald's, okay, or Penn Station. Let's say Penn Station, all right?
Yeah.
All right. And you were to order a Philly cheesesteak, some of their fries, whatever it might be. If you were walking in the restaurant, let's just assume that the bill was $12, okay? What would that same meal cost you on a DoorDash?
It's a
lot. Without the pass thing, whatever.
Well, it's a lot because you add in the tip, you add in the delivery fee, and then you might even add in a restaurant, like a surcharge from the restaurant for a delivery fee too. Because I remember last year when I got to San Antonio for the Sweet 16 last year covering Villanova, I got there super late at night and there was nothing open. and I ordered DoorDash McDonald's from like a McDonald's a half hour away, so it was cold when it got there. And I got a quarter pounder with fries and a drink, and it was $8. And you get a number, whatever it is, at McDonald's, it's like $8 maybe. I think I paid close to $19 for it. After all the fees, the charges, everything else, it's a lot because there's like 3 different things you got to add on. Then do you tip on top of that? I think you have to.
It's a waste of money.
It's a lot. I don't do it.
Well, it says here, Emperor says, I'm not paying $5 extra on a $15 meal.
Unless you're hammered drunk, it's a waste of money.
This was an interesting one here. I love this one from AM. Says, I used DoorDash one time while my wife was in labor at the hospital. She insisted after we didn't eat anything all day long, we had to do it. Had a nice meal from Carrabba's, fettuccine, little Parmesan chicken. Was worth the extra bucks for that one time. Okay.
Yeah.
But these people are just, it's mind-boggling how smart these people are, coming up with these little things. And, Uber, unbelievable, right? The options you have now, it's unbelievable. I have been a regular Uber because I like going out with some of my buddies sometimes. You don't want to get behind the wheel if you've had 3-4 beers, right? So, you're gonna Uber. And it's unbelievable. Now, they're capitalists, too. They know where to jack it up and at what time and all that kind of thing, right? I told you, a story a couple of weeks ago when the Bengals were home against the first playoff game against Baltimore. I had to jump in a car at like 11:45 and drive down and pick up my son because Uber, they're asking for $60 or something, $70 after a game to get back to the suburbs. They know where to pick their spots.
I had a friend one time that had to Uber, had no choice, transportation-wise, had to Uber maybe 10 miles on a crazy busy Friday night in Cincinnati. I don't remember if there was a concert or what was going on. It was like $100 to go 10, 15 miles maybe.
Right.
It's like $100.
Sure.
You could split in New York City.
That's what they do.
In New York City, I have learned, because I've done it enough now in the last couple of years, that the cabs have a flat rate in New York City from the airports. The city put in a charge on. I don't know if that's to protect against Uber or what, but if you're going from like LaGuardia to Manhattan, you just pay $52 and that's it to get into the city. Because on Uber it's like $70, $80.
Well, look, I understand their turf, but I mean, this was a big thing that everybody's forgotten about it since then is that the taxi drivers union and those that they are in bed with politically tried to basically destroy Uber before it ever got off the ground. And thank God the needs of people and what they wanted was more important than what the union of the taxi drivers wanted and those who are in bed with politically. In San Francisco and New York, they try to completely smash out Uber from existing. And now all of a sudden, when it's the people, you can't fight the people.
I think we have a call.
We do.
Casey's trying to scream.
Casey's hot mic continues to go out.
Well,
while he's talking to a caller here.
I think the mic is turned off to the YouTube show. I think we can hear him, but I don't think.
No, somebody says they can hear him on here. That's what Reed said. While we're waiting on the call, Thom said, Cincinnati kid said, Thom, you got any good stories from WLWT King of TV Bowling?
Oh.
He found a bunch of old episodes on the YouTube a couple of weeks ago.
Got to be honest, I saw these episodes.
It was big league.
All right, you ready?
All right, ready? We got a caller?
Yep.
All right. Hello there. Who we got here?
Hey, Tommy. Glad to pitch in here. I'm glad you're back. I wanted to say, first off, I wish you were doing the Fox broadcast because I just don't like the guys for the Super Bowl. I think they're just not exciting enough. It doesn't, the Madden and Michaels and the Collinsworth and Michaels make the game better. I think you were a great broadcaster. I wish you were doing the Super Bowl. I wanted to pitch in also on the DoorDash thing. We're regular DoorDashers.
Okay.
And I want to say if you've got the pass, It is extremely cheap. It actually costs you less than if you went in and sat down at the restaurant and paid the tip.
How much does that pass cost? My son was trying to explain this to me last night, and he didn't know exactly how much it is. You're paying what per month?
$9.99, but it winds up saving you. They even show you on the app how much it saves you, and it'll end up saving you $100 in DoorDash if you do it 3 or 4 times.
No kidding. Now, how about that? Who is this, by the way?
My name's Joe. I'm from Centerville, up north near Dayton.
The Centerville Elks got big-time basketball again up there this year. They going to win a state championship again?
I don't know. They're pretty good. We were so used to them. I went to another local school, Kettering, and we were so used to them beating our butts when we played them. I played for Kettering, and they won several championships in what used to be the Western Ohio League back in the day. Now it's the Greater Western Ohio League or something like that. They used to be a dominant football team. They're not anymore, but now it's their basketball. We also have Alter up here, who used to be quite the basketball power. So, but those are a couple of things I wanted to contribute, and I think one thing I would say, you were asking about what you could add to the show. Add our neighbors up here, Dayton, UD north of you, into some of the conversation. They sell out all the time. The first fours here. It used to be. I'm in your age group. It used to be that was one of our bigger games when we played Xavier or Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. When before they were in the ACC or whatever conference they're in now. I can't remember what conference it is, but when they were an independent and Xavier and Notre Dame and DePaul and all those guys came in, Xavier was a big game for us when we played them. We did not like Pete Gillen when he came up this way. So those are the things I wanted to contribute. Like I said, I'm glad you're back at it. I wish I could get in on the chats, but I'm not a Facebook guy and I don't do Twitter. So I wanted to call in and congratulate you and put my 2 cents in about the DoorDash. The Dash Pass is worth it. It ends up saving you quite a bit of money, and tell you I wished you were doing the Super Bowl.
Well, I tell you what, this is a fantastic caller. We can't thank you enough, and please call back again, and thanks so much for enjoying the program. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you, Tom.
That was an awesome call right there.
There we go.
That's big time.
Good stuff. Thanks, Joe.
That's big time. Our buddy Joe.
Yeah, we can mix.
And a reminder to Joe, if I heard him right there, and maybe he misspoke. I don't know, but he said he's not a Facebook guy. He's not on Facebook, and then he said Twitter. But you might be able to you can go to YouTube if that's an option for you, and find us.
Yeah, I know some people watch the show. Like my parents will watch the show. They just flip on the smart TV and then turn on the show on the TV there. I don't know if because you won't have the chat if you turn it on TV. But yeah, I mean, we are streaming on Facebook. We used to stream on Twitter. We don't stream on Twitter anymore. We are streaming live every day though on Facebook, on the Chatterbox Sports page, and then also obviously where pretty much everybody watches us. Here on YouTube as well. And then we're also in podcast form. We don't publicize that a ton, but this show does get published about an hour after the show ends every day. We publish this show in podcast form. So if you want to go back and listen to it, you can. Okay. But yeah, great call from Joe. Joe talked about UD. Dayton's they've had a bad season. They have dealt with a lot of injuries. And they now have started to get some guys back, but they're to a point now where it literally doesn't matter what they do, what Dayton does now between the end of the regular season and whenever the conference tournament starts. They got to win the A-10 tournament to get in. They're 15-9 on the season, 7-4 in the A-10, but they have 3 losses now in the last 2 weeks, sub 150, which you just can't have after their non-conference schedule. So Dayton, I think, is one of the top teams in the A-10. They're right there with VCU and St. Louis, but where Dayton had rallied probably mid-January, they were around 45 on KenPom. They're back down to 72nd now. They've just taken on some water, like I said earlier, taken on some bad losses. So,
well, it would be good if they were able to get in, because it is such a phenomenal program up there in that arena. We've talked about it. Joe may have missed it. We've talked about the UD arena, and there's a reason why they play those play-in games there. Unbelievable atmosphere, great building, for UD games, phenomenal fans, great fan base. I'd like to see them get to back to where they used to be. I mean, heck, what was it, 3 years ago? They had what they thought was a bona fide national championship contending team.
Obi Toppin. Ain't
That's
no
right.
stopping. Jalen Crutcher. Yeah, tough year that year because that team could have made the Final Four. That team had every piece of a college team that could have made the Final Four.
Well, but you think about the arteries even off of something like that. I mean, it's not only the immediacy of we had the team to do it, we have the players to do it, coach to do it, whole 9 yards, right? Is what would have happened had they won that for that program? I mean, all of a sudden, there would be guys, just like I'm sure we're going to see, and this is probably an apples-to-apples kind of thing because they both have had really good historical programs in their respective sports, like TCU. I think you're going to see their football explode there with players that all of a sudden are going to give them a look where if somebody walked in the door and tried to pitch TCU on some kid 2 years ago, no chance. If Dayton gets to the Final Four that year, or even gets, championship game that year, how many kids now all of a sudden want to come look at that building? And you walk in that building, that campus, that's a nice setup up there. They got a good setup at UD.
They do.
It's a lot of fun. I know a lot of kids that are up there going to school right now, and they love it. All right.
Cherry on top.
Cherry on top, presented by United Dairy Farmers. What do we got here?
Roll it. Little soundbite, a little mic'd up from the Pro Bowl yesterday. Talked about it earlier on the show, but decided to pull it up. Jamar Chase.
Always love Jamar Chase.
What you eating, a glizzy? You're a glizzy gobbler, huh? You're a glizzy gobbler, huh? You want them glizzies, huh? All right. That was T. Higgins. Who did that to me, though? Yeah. Put me on blast. Ain't mic'd up, right? Thanks. What you eating, a
Just eating hot dogs. Eating some glizzies.
Is that what those are?
Glizzies, yeah.
Teaching Thom. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Whoa, hold on a second. A glizzy is that's what you call a hot dog, a glizzy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong with hot dog?
It's just not a glizzy. You want to be a glizzy globber, or do you want to eat hot dogs? I don't know.
You don't gobble glizzies?
Sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason to
I
these
love
things,
hot
Tom.
dogs. I mean, but what the hell's wrong with hot dog? Why does it have to turn into, what is it, glizzy?
Glizzy gobbler.
So if you're a hot dog eater, you're a gizzy gobbler.
Glizzy
Gobbler. God almighty.
Tom, do you
This
think
stuff is ridiculous.
Do you think you could eat 9 hot dogs and drink 9 beers over the course of a baseball game?
9 beers for sure.
Well, I knew that was an easy one.
Yeah, no doubt there. I don't know, boy. 9 hot dogs. That's a lot of hot dogs, man. Have you done that?
No, but I think I'm going to try. See, the
You
challenge
do
is
that just before the swim across the little
right,
Miami?
Right. Great Miami.
Oh, the Great Miami.
The Great
Forgive me.
Miami.
That's right. The big one.
The big one.
Right.
No, the challenge is you have to do one every inning. So, like, you can't eat, 6 hot dogs in the first inning, let it settle, then eat 3 more. You've got.
I mean, that's getting filled up, man, in a
Right.
hurry. And staying filled up. You're going to do this?
I want to go to a Reds game. Do they still even do the $1 hot dog stand?
Yes.
They do something.
Tuesdays, baby. $3 beer, $2 hot dog, $1 ice cream.
So I'm paying $27 in beer and $18 in hot dogs, plus my $2 ticket. And I think I can do it, Tom. I think I got it in me.
Well, you're a big, strong dude. You might be able to pull that off. I just don't. I don't know, man. I mean, I think about you eat a hot dog, okay, and most guys we can eat 2 or 3 hot dogs.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, right? But now all of a sudden you talk about, you have a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3
quick inning.
Yeah,
Inning.
all of a sudden you're talking about hot dog, beer. And now, bam, you're going back to the well immediately again. Well, the second time, maybe not a big deal. Third time, not. Now you're starting to crawl. 4th, 5th, hot dog.
Well, the good thing is I don't think you'll get that drunk because you're filling up as
Oh,
you're
you
drinking.
drink 9 beers in 3 hours, you're going to be a little tanked up. You can mark it down.
I don't know how they did it
Mark
over in
it
Athens,
down.
Ohio, Tom, but in Bluffton, Ohio, we can drink some beer.
Well, are you getting a big
Yeah, they've
boy?
never been known for beer drinking in Athens.
That's
Ohio.
true. I've never heard anything of the sorts.
Or are you getting a big boy from the stadium, or are you getting like just a normal can, like a 12-ounce can?
No,
that's a good question.
It's a 12-ounce can on Tuesday nights.
12-ounce can.
And it's a regular domestic,
It's like but
okay, you're not drinking some 5.8, 6.4
No.
alcohol lover.
You're getting a $2 12-ounce can of Bud Light.
Yeah, I think you could do it.
Okay.
I think we
I've
can
got
all
in.
do it.
Now, the other thing, Tom, is do you know what a Sky Rosa is?
A what?
A Sky Rosa. It is when you get a piece, you go to the ball game.
Okay.
You get a slice of pepperoni La Rosa's pizza.
Love pizza. Okay.
And then you go get a cheese coney from the Skyline stand.
Okay. Sky Rose. I love it.
And you put it right in the pizza.
Oh, no. Now you lost me. Now you lost me. No.
fold it
You
up.
lost me there. I like their taste too much. Individually. I don't
Well,
want to
then you
mix
put it
those
together.
up.
I mean, it's like, listen, you got LeBron, great player over here. That's La Rosa. Then you got Michael Jordan. That's the Skyline cheese
Right.
coney. No doubt, they're undeniable net champions by themselves. You put them on the same team, I think you got something special here.
Okay. Well, you can handle that and the 9 hot dogs and 9 beers. You and Paul and Casey and Brandon can go down there and give that a shot. I know I can't eat 9 hot dogs. There's just no way. No chance. 9 conies?
9 conies?
Perhaps. Perhaps. All right. I got to leave it to you guys. I got to get my wife to the airport. So I got to get out of here. Who's taking over for box lunch?
Reed.
We'll just do it from the chairs.
All right. Come on. Let's take it away, boys. Hey,
Thanks,
fellas.
Tom.
Case, Paul, Brandon, thanks.
Absolutely.
My man, it all belongs to you, Mr. Mouse.
Thanks, Tom.
I must admit, I didn't think much of this show the first time I laid eyes on it. Seemed like a bunch of stiffs wasting nice
The worst trade
microphones.
of all time happened back in 1803. Go ahead. Napoleon Bonaparte traded the Louisiana Purchase for $3 million. Napoleon, what happened? Half the country for $3 million. You can't even get Tucker Barnhart for $3
Then
million
I came to realize
anymore.
these guys are funny.
And Justin Fields have identical stats the last 5 weeks about throwing the football. This guy, okay,
And
folks,
are
is a
some of the
fidget
best
spinner.
gamblers I've come to know.
If you're betting on USC and or TCU, let it be known you are a square.
TCU is going to hammer this team tomorrow night.
I hate to hear that. 'Cause
Tomorrow
when we come back
afternoon.
in here on Monday, you're going to be happy as a lark because USC lost, but you're going to be wrong about TCU.
Get ready for the most useless hour of your day. It's time for Boxed Lunch, presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Now, Casey, run that track.
We still haven't found the track to run yet, which, guys, if you're watching this show in the chat, if you got suggestions, I'm thinking like something from the 70s or 80s, something like a pop song from the 70s or 80s, or like a new wave rock song to kind of get the juices flowing for this show. We'd love it. The show needs a song. We need some suggestions. But it's going to be a short show today. This is the Box Lunch presented by Betfred Sportsbook. No Trace. He's down taking his family to Disney World. He'll be there all week. They went to Magic Kingdom yesterday. He'll be back next week. But we got the normal cast of characters. Reed Moustering along here with Paul Fritchner, and we got Seho and Casey over there. Guys, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. I've retired from gambling.
You're tired
Oh,
from gambling.
no.
I think we've got two, right?
2. I'm out too, Brandon. Welcome to the club. I'm out.
Now,
Well,
what did you in?
Whew. The frauds that are your favorite team.
The Muskies?
No, sorry. Your
The
second
Hoosiers?
favorite team, the Hoosiers.
Oh.
They won.
Yeah. I needed Purdue to win.
So wait, you're
Yeah.
telling me you called my Hoosiers frauds when they beat the number 1 team in the country? That seems the exact opposite of a fraud.
I think we're gonna get into this take because I'm on
It's-
Brandon's side with this.
They'll did they lose to Minnesota or barely beat Minnesota like 2 weeks ago?
Barely beat Minnesota.
They'll go play
Well, we got it
Yeah,
later.
sorry.
We'll
Yes,
got it later.
Not just that.
I
I
got
mean,
thoughts.
Responsible gaming brought to you by Betfred. I went 3-15 last week. It was.
At least you won 3.
Yeah, the wins, of course, were
not whatever.
Everett Henry said all along the Watchtower for the intro to the song. You guys know All Along the Watchtower?
Not a clue what that is.
It's a Jimi Hendrix song. Well, I was going to ask Everett, should we do Jimi Hendrix, which is maybe the most badass song ever, or should we have Bob Dylan's ugly-ass voice singing the song? I love Bob Dylan, greatest songwriter of all time. But, man, boy cannot sing.
I know exactly what we should do. We pick a song, and we pick any song, and then we get the Bengal Boys to mix it for us.
There you go.
Ooh.
That way there's
What
no
if we just
copyright.
do a Chatterbox?
Cincinnati Kid with Air Force Ones by Nelly.
I saw that. Yeah.
Powerful.
That's a good one.
We could just get a Chatterbox. What if we got a Chatterbox theme song and just had the Bengal Boys do it?
Exactly.
I like it.
Should we get the band?
We'll
We had a
contact them.
scat
We'll get it.
band at one point on this show. Should we get the band back up?
Oh,
We've
we
seen
did.
a bass line.
We did have our own song. Yeah. We get Trace back in here next week. We'll create our own jam.
All right, guys, we won't have too long of a show.
I was playing the band.
What were you doing?
I just played Scam of the Day. You guys talked over the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I have a Jimmy.
We don't have.
Yeah, we don't have
Oh,
headphones.
that's right. I forgot.
We don't
You
have
can't-
headphones.
You can't hear it. I have a Jimi Hendrix story, though. I was doing PA announcing in high school at LaSalle, and someone, without me knowing, subbed out the normal national anthem. That's like, a minute and 10 seconds for the Jimi Hendrix national anthem before a basketball game, and it's like 4.5 minutes. And what are you going to do? Turn off the national anthem?
Right.
Sorry, wrong one. Yeah.
Me and my buddies have a playlist on Spotify that we put the national anthem in the playlist. It's like a 200-song playlist. And we have a rule that if you're listening to the playlist, whatever you're doing, you're driving on I-75 going north, and that national anthem comes over, you pull off to the side, and you step out, you stand up, you take off your hat, and you listen to the national anthem. And we are committed to that bit, fully committed to that
Love
bit.
it.
We also have a suggestion from Emperor Starstream, Voodoo Child. Anyone remember what Red had that as their walk-up song? Shortstop Zach Cozart. That was their walk-up song.
Cozart, great red.
All right, let's get through this show. It won't be too long of a show. We're already
AJ,
off the
worse
rails.
shots.
But the Super Bowl is this Sunday. Hasn't been a whole lot of talk. I think we're still decompressing from the AFC Championship.
Nobody around Cincinnati wants
Don't
to
care. Don't care.
God, it's
Literally,
brutal.
Just like you can't even bring it up almost. But we've got the Eagles. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just wanted to break down because the spread is only 1.5 points for the Eagles. And when you break down, I think someone commented this on Off the Bench earlier. There's like one position where the Chiefs are better, one group position where the Chiefs are better than the Eagles. You break it down. Casey, tell me if I'm wrong here.
Yep.
Secondary, the Eagles have a better secondary.
Correct.
Linebacking crew, the Eagles have a better linebacking crew.
Correct.
The Eagles obviously have a better defensive line.
Obviously.
They have better weapons.
Yes.
Now, the two positions where it's a little dicey is offensive line. Do the Chiefs have a better offensive line?
Debatable. Depends on what you prefer. Do you prefer a pass blocking group or a run blocking group?
I prefer my quarterback to stand upright.
Well, I guess you were going to take the Chiefs then.
All right, well, we'll put that one at chalk then. And then Patrick Mahomes, even on one leg, is better than Jalen Hurts. So, guys.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
How do the Chiefs win this ball game?
Patrick Mahomes.
They don't. Go Eagles.
They don't. Go Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
I don't really care who wins, I'll be honest. If the Chiefs win, cool. If the Eagles win, whatever.
We're still decompressing from that AFC. It's
I
just
really don't
whatever
care.
at this point.
I really could not care less.
Isn't it funny? I never cared about who won the Super Bowl for 20 years. And then I remember talking to my friends last year, like, guys, this is the first Super Bowl where I'm like, let's win. I care
Let's
who
go.
wins this game. I care who wins this game. Because the big thing is you always have a Super Bowl party, and it's just a party, right? I mean, people make their skyline dip. People make their chicken wings and everything like that, and you just go to the party. You really don't care. You drink some beer, then you go to work the next day. Last year was the first time where you're like, what is our plans for the Super Bowl? And now we're just reverting right back to this. Casey.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Fire away.
What does it say, if anything, since you're on the Patrick Mahomes hate train and I'm, I guess, champion the Patrick Mahomes bandwagon, what does it say if Patrick Mahomes goes out and wins this game?
Well, What does it say?
Like if it's clear that Patrick Mahomes was the reason the Chiefs win this game.
I don't even care
if he just wins. His legacy.
Well, like if they win, because they are so clearly outmatched at every position.
Okay.
Other than quarterback.
Right. I mean, man, if they win, I mean, it'll probably, to me, it'll say more about the Eagles than it will Patrick Mahomes, because it just then the Eagles were frauds all along, and they never had a tough schedule to begin with. And that's my opinion. I don't feel like they really had a tough schedule, but I still think that they're one of the better teams in the league just from what we've seen them do to the teams that they had to play. But
Casey, they played in the
Patrick
NFC
Mahomes
East.
were to win, if Patrick Mahomes were to win, he'd be what, 2-1?
2-1.
Yeah.
2-1 in the Super Bowl. That's a special group of guys with 2-1. So
Jordan in the chat makes a good point. Would he be better than Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
So, well, 100%.
Yeah.
100% already.
And
But Casey, I'm
anytime
not going to
you
let you
win-
slip by that Eagles played a bad schedule. They played in the NFC East. 3 teams made the playoffs from the NFC East, and all three of them were in the divisional round.
And you're telling me that the Giants were not frauds when they got blown out 38-7?
The Giants were a 9-win team playing against the team that's in the Super Bowl and favored in the Super Bowl.
They had a fourth-place schedule. They had a fourth-place schedule. What do you – I sure hope they got 9 wins with Brian Dable, the offensive quarterback guru, who made a mini Josh Allen out in the Big Apple. I mean, like, come on. I mean, I do not give them much stock. I think the NFC least just had a really, really good season this year. If you just go back and look, though, I mean, the Eagles, the only team I really give any credit to is the Cowboys. And they did their thing against the Cowboys. But the Cowboys, I mean, they barely beat them with a backup Eagles quarterback. And it was 40-38 or something like that. I mean, I don't know, man. The one thing that I will say that is
dollar.
Yep, thank you. Couldn't get through any shows without saying that. The Eagles' scheme is the one thing I think is the kryptonite to this Chiefs team. I just don't know if they can stop Jalen Hurts and the RPOs and the options that they're able to have in the run and pass game. A.J. Brown's a monster. Dallas Goedert's really good. The running back carousel that they have, even if one of them goes down, they're still fine. They're healthy. And the offensive line, to me, is the best in the league at creating holes and being sound in their scheme. So you're not going to see Chris Jones getting however many sacks and pressures that he did against the Bengals. It's just not going to happen. And I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do because they're not going to be able to stop the Eagles. And the Eagles, to me, the defensive line is the best in the league. With Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham.
But at the end, you said
mean,
if the Chiefs win, then the Eagles are fraudulent after giving them their flowers for 5 minutes there.
Wait, you said the Chiefs are frauds if they lose?
You said
No.
the Eagles are frauds if the Chiefs win.
I mean, I guess it depends. It depends on how they lose. If they lose, like, with seconds left, then, yeah, I mean, I guess kudos to Patrick Mahomes. You won a really close Super Bowl, and it's hard to do that. But if they get blown out, I won't be surprised because the Eagles haven't played anybody. And
what were the Eagles' Super Bowl odds to start the year? Does anyone know? Like, they were not
No, they
in
made the
conversation.
postseason last year, but they were.
Like, I was somebody that was, like, out on Jalen Hurts, and he just led a team to the Super Bowl. So there's no way they're frauds.
Yeah, he's only 23 years old too. Like that's what's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He's moving forward. But you mentioned if Patrick Mahomes wins, then yeah, he's done more than Aaron Rodgers. And I know that's crazy because Aaron Rodgers has won 15 years. I brought this up in the comments earlier. Patrick Mahomes in his first 5 years as the Chiefs starting quarterback. This is his third Super Bowl. 31 years combined between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They went to 3 Super Bowls, the Packers did. So 2 of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time took the Packers to 3 Super Bowls. And Patrick Mahomes, who sometimes people are trying to beat him down, he's taken a team that, I mean, I know the Chiefs were good, but before Patrick Mahomes won them their first Super Bowl, when was the last time the Chiefs even made a Super Bowl? It'd been decades on top of decades. And he has taken them to 3 in 5 years. And there's a list, I think there's currently 12 quarterbacks that have won multiple Super Bowls, all of them elite. Obviously, you got Brady, Montana. I don't need to list all of them right here. The list to win 3 Super Bowls, which is then what Patrick Mahomes would be going for, is infinitely smaller. I think there's only 4 quarterbacks that have done that. The list of quarterbacks that have won 2 Super Bowls in their first 5 years, I think there's only 2 guys on that list right now. Joe Montana and Tom Brady. So as for what it says to Patrick Mahomes' legacy, if they win this weekend, down all of their receivers, underdogs, on one leg. I hate that I have to keep doing this, guys, but it seems like we are blinded by our own fandoms here at the Bengals. Patrick Mahomes, to me, is one of the 3 most incredible athletes I've ever seen play sports. I didn't get to watch prime Jordan. Yeah. I did get to watch prime LeBron. He wows me to this day every time I watch him. In another team sport, Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player I've seen ever. Even if he gets hurt tomorrow, I will still say that. And Patrick Mahomes is the greatest football player I've ever seen. He wows me more than Tom Brady did. Tom Brady winning 7 Super Bowls will never be matched. He's the GOAT. But Patrick Mahomes wows me more than any quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah, Mahomes needed to beat Brady in that one in their matchup against each other to have a chance at getting to that number, because that would have put him at 2 already, and it would have kept Brady at 6. But now Mahomes just at 1 and Brady being at 7. I don't want to say nobody will ever get there because we saw Brady do it, but the way that the game is trending right now with the more mobile quarterbacks that might not last as long as Tom Brady did, I would lean that we probably won't, but I'm not going to sit here and say we won't see another Tom Brady again.
Well, I mean, like, how old was Tom Brady when he won his 4th? So he won 3 very early on, and then he didn't win his 4th till he's, 36 years old?
Yeah.
Which is what Aaron Rodgers' age is right now. All right, Aaron Rodgers, 38, so a little older than that. But what Tom Brady has done will never be matched, not in this game. It's incredible. We never thought Joe Montana's 4 Super Bowls would be matched, and obviously they blew that out of the water. But I guess I'm tired of being numb to Patrick Mahomes' greatness, and I just want to say here on this Monday before the Super Bowl that if Patrick Mahomes wins, he is already in a list of, in my mind, the 5 greatest quarterbacks that have ever played the game in just 5 years. So we'll leave it at that. All right. Next topic, and I think, Paul, you're going to like this one.
Okay.
There is a man in college basketball. There's a hostage situation going on in college basketball right now.
Oh.
A once proud program stinks, and it's because of the head coach that made it proud. Jim Boeheim is holding Syracuse hostage. They will never be prominent again as long as he is there. Never again. And they can't do anything about it. What are you going to fire Jim Boeheim? He built the program. Paul, what can they do?
He's got to resign. He has to read the tea leaves and understand the situation right now and understand that he needs, for the betterment of the program, if he cares about this program at all, that he has built so well over the last 2, 3, 4 decades, he needs to understand that it is time for Boeheim to resign. It is. And man, it's just time after time after time. We just keep getting down to this point where we're like, is Syracuse going to be relevant again? Well, they had a bad regular season. Oh, they wound up in the Sweet 16. Let's give them another few years. That's not happening with this group, and it's not happening in a bad ACC. They're 14-10 this year. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games. They're 7-6 in the ACC. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament. They're not even particularly close to making the NCAA tournament this year. They don't have any good wins except for maybe Virginia Tech, and even that one isn't all that great. But Virginia Tech is the only team that they have beaten this year ranked higher than 109th. 109th. Blowout loss to Illinois. Lost to St. John's. Lost to Colgate. Lost to Bryant. Lost to Virginia Tech when they played them a second time. They have fallen off a cliff.
Joshua brings up a really good question. Can they give him a job like a leadership role, not being the head coach, but they quote unquote give him a promotion?
Yeah.
And then bring somebody else in?
I don't see them doing that, but I'm also not around the Syracuse program enough or talk to enough people to know if that's a viable option. I mean, look at what Thad Matta did at Indiana. Thad Matta he left Ohio State, went over to Butler last year, and he was like an advisor to the program or something.
Right.
He wasn't on the bench because you can only have you can only have a certain amount of assistant coaches on the bench. So these guys, and I'm not saying Boeheim's not going to be an assistant. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about like moving somebody around in a program. Like Thad Matta goes and becomes this like special assistant advisor person. He's not sitting on the bench. He can't recruit. Boeheim is all or nothing, in my opinion. Now, is it the Mike Krzyzewski where he hasn't moved out of his office yet? I don't know. But it's the same deal where it's run its course. He's been there for a while. He's won a national championship. Granted, it was a long time ago. You just can't do this thing with Boeheim anymore. He's got to go.
You know what it reminds me of is, you know, that kid that had that parent that was like a helicopter parent, like was just hovering around them all the time, and was good, like was making sure that the kid was succeeding in school, succeeding in athletics, but just hovering over top of them constantly. And then the kid grows up, and it's time for him to go to college. And the kid in college can't do a weekend away at college, comes home every weekend, like does the week there, but then travels 3 hours home and stays at the parents' house every single weekend. That's where Syracuse basketball is. And Jim Boeheim, as the parent, as the man who built this program, has to let it go. You got to let him fly. You got to kick him out and just be like, hey, you got to figure this out. I am the problem at this point. Is it beyond return? Can you see Syracuse hiring a young jumpstart?
And there are names out there. We talk a lot in some of these sports where, especially in the NFL, you look at Frank Reich and some of these guys where it's just Sean Payton, these old coaches that just keep getting rehired all over the place. College basketball, there's 360-plus teams in the country, plus other names all over the place. There are names, there are young names, there are good coaches out there that would go and take this Syracuse job, and I think would do a pretty good job there. I'm off the top.
It's still in the ACC. It's still a good program.
You're in a great conference with a very good fan base that cares about the program. They're a basketball school. They're not a football school. They're a basketball school. People care about the program. I mean, it's just a bad situation right now for Syracuse that they have to figure it out. I mean, you don't like. People used to say you don't just go into the JMA Wireless Dome and win a game.
Right.
You easily
Is that the name
go.
of it now?
Show some respect to JMA Wireless, okay?
What is JMA Wireless?
I don't know.
Carrier
I have no
Dome.
idea.
Come on, Carrier Dome.
It's the Dome is I think what they're calling it because nobody wants to call it the JMA Wireless Dome. But it's the largest venue in college basketball. Show some respect. Get Boeheim out of here, man. It's just tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
Also, how laughable is it that he went off on the NIL stuff with other schools in the ACC when I am just, as a person that's been around big-time sports programs, that is one of the biggest basketball programs in the country, there is no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely.
Players at Syracuse have been getting paid for 30 years. So the fact that you're going to go off on
you think Melo just showed up at Syracuse wasn't getting anything,
right? That's like the
let me go spend my winters in 10 degrees.
Yeah, it's so and Melo, like, didn't he launch their whole like basketball performance center? So he's a big reason why their program has continued to grow too. But like come on, dude. That's why we get on Thom sometimes. He talks about team up in Columbus that they're all straight and narrow.
He does love Mount Union.
Played by the rules. What'd you say?
I said he does love Mount Union.
Yeah.
He said a school up in Columbus.
Yeah. Capital.
Right, Capital.
If you're winning, if you're winning, you're cheating in college sports. That's how it works.
Now, do you guys buy, like, you fully buy into that? Both of you guys, or all three of you guys? Because that's kind of there's not a whole lot of evidence to back up that, like, if you want to succeed at a high level in college sports, you got to be cheating. But that is the vibe amongst all college sports fans. They're like, oh yeah, I mean, like, if your team's going to be up there, they got to cheat.
I've heard from enough people that I trust that now most of it is above board with NIL.
Yeah, now it's a little different. But
now it's different. Now, the thing with NIL that's going to get murky is that you're not supposed to technically just be paying to play. It's supposed to be, it's the good nature of it is supposed to be endorsement deals, but we all know what's really going on.
What was Texas A&M's payroll?
But yeah,
and they went like 500.
We know what's really supposed to be going on and what's actually happening here. But for a long time, I don't know if it was to the scale that the general public thinks that it was. I think the general public has this thought that these players in the last 15, 20 years were making like millions of dollars.
Not that much. Yeah.
It's not to the scale where you hear these NIL deals, which are literally millions of dollars. It wasn't to that scale. But was a player getting a car? Was a family getting a house? And that's the other thing too, is people want to talk about cheating. And this was the thing that I always had with the college people that didn't like college basketball because they said, oh, people are cheating. Not all the time, but a lot of the time.
Right.
A lot of the quote unquote cheating was good natured in the sense of you'd get grandma a house or you'd get a family a house.
Yes and no, yes and
or
no.
so-and-so a car or whatever. It wasn't.
You'd also have a kid go to school B instead of school A because school B was paying him, gifting the family behind closed doors $100,000 when school A was gifting them $50,000.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that schools weren't competing on a financial level. I'm just saying that
it did help people.
It helped.
It wasn't like they were shooting up their athletes in the back room with steroids and stuff like that. They were giving money for generational stuff.
Yeah,
like objectively good things.
Like like some of these kids completely changed the outlook of their family forever based on what they were able to do in college basketball. And I think that is a good thing, and you're seeing that more and more now with these players that are making money off of their own brand. And the other thing, too, is you're seeing these players that maybe don't want to play basketball overseas that now, once the COVID years stop, once all of the COVID athletes have timed out, I think it will be different. But you're starting to see a lot of these COVID athletes come back for another year because they realize that they can make more money in college than going to play in, say, Jerusalem or one of these other places where you're going overseas, you don't know the language, the travel's not as good. These college players are spoiled with charter flights, everything else at the highest level.
Yeah.
You know, not the mid-major level where you're bussing everywhere and it's bad meals overnight. I'm talking about the players that are in the Power 6 conferences that are chartering everywhere, staying in great hotels, getting all of their meals, getting elite educations, all that stuff. You go overseas, you don't have that. And that is a massive shock to the system for a lot of these guys. And now they're able to stay back in college, play another year, maybe make more money than they were already going to make overseas or wherever else. And that's a real help to these players. And I think it's a good thing.
Do you think that since NIL is like a legal, real thing now, that at some point we're going to have like a documentary just telling about everything that happened in the SEC and Big Ten? I mean, like, I'm not going to sell people out, but like when you work in sports, you see it. And
people aren't going to come out afterwards and say like, yeah, there was cheating going on because the NCAA can retroactively strip you of a title.
Right.
So,
well, the NCAA knows what's going on. It's good for their product. That's the problem. I saw an instance where a school was fined for a tennis recruit getting like $50 worth of free apparel and a free lesson from a alum to a recruit. They got fined, some NCAA violation, but the football programs literally paying kids tens of thousands of dollars, giving them free car. It's like, you know what's happening, but but the NCAA is such a fraud organization that they're doing that to like cover their behind and say that they're doing something about it. So I'm just interested. I mean,
luckily Mark Emmert is not the president of the NCAA anymore, or if he is, his governance,
a disgusting act by that school.
Emmert's term is coming to an end, and they're actually getting a former governor, I think, a politician, governor of Massachusetts, maybe. Who was
politics.
it?
Mitt Romney.
Yeah, I don't remember who it. I don't remember who it is that they're instituting as the new president of the NCAA, but who it is it's a politician that is going to focus on a lot of the NIL stuff, which I think is a good thing.
You know what's funny about NIL stuff, and what is this? Do you guys know who the most paid college athlete is?
Oh, is it the backup at Texas?
No,
it is not.
What's the kid's name that I'm thinking of?
Gymnast?
It is a female.
Oh, it's Livia Dunn. Yeah,
it's Livy Dunn. What does that say about our country? That we legalize paying athletes for their brand at the college level, and the highest paid college athlete in the infancy is just a very pretty blonde gymnast at LSU. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Well, she has like a bajillion followers on TikTok. TikTok's the leader in like money making right now. And I almost said it. I covered LSU gymnastics for 2 years. That place, they sell more tickets for LSU gymnastics than LSU basketball. Like they sell out 13,000 every night.
Even when Ben Simmons was there?
Huh?
Even when Ben Simmons was there?
I got there the season after Ben Simmons, but those 2 years that I was there, it was tough. I guess Will Wade's first year was all right, but they filled it up some nights.
Will Wade! Loved Will Wade.
There was a gymnast from around here that went.
Yeah, Lexi Priestman.
Yeah, Lexi Priestman. Yeah.
Yeah, but the SEC gymnastics, I mean, that's the thing is, that's great for them to be able to make that money, but it is crazy the amount. I mean, she's making like $2 million a year or something like that. Some report came out earlier this year.
All right,
what's up? Oh, IU.
Paul.
Yeah.
So it's Saturday. I wake up in the morning and I see that the Indiana Hoosiers at Assembly Hall are favored against Purdue, the number 1 team in the country. And I tell everyone I'm taking Indiana, half because it just seemed like a trap line. Secondly, because I like Indiana. Genuinely like Indiana, root for them, watch almost every game they have. And I take my victory lap after the game. I make sure everyone who doubted my Hoosiers knew. And Paul fires in a text in the group chat and says, God, I hate IU. Why do you hate Indiana?
So it was funny because I was at Cintas when this was going on, and the Cintas Center, it's known for a lot of things, but it's not known for its phone signal.
Sure.
And so it was, I don't know, whatever time. The game was ending. The IU game was ending at halftime, and I couldn't watch the last 2 minutes of it maybe. So I knew it was close, but I didn't know what actually happened. And then all of a sudden I get a million all caps messages from Reed and Trace, everybody else about the IU game. And I had a friend there. I wouldn't say I hated them in the moment. Doesn't sound like I got killed by them as much as Brandon did. I did hate them in the moment. I think they're like a gnat. They're like a gnat that kind of flies around your head, and they're always there, and they're always just kind of hanging around, but you can never get rid of them, but they always hang around, and they're just kind of annoying.
Paul Fritchner, IU, expletive word, 1 exclamation question mark. You said IU effing 1 question mark?
Yeah, I did say that.
And then you said F the Hoosiers.
I did say that.
And then
too.
then I sent you the clown emoji, and you said, took all season for you to draw my IU hate out.
Yeah. I'm not. They haven't done anything in 20-some years, and we have to keep talking about them.
They beat Kentucky on a buzzer beater, and now they beat Purdue at home as both as number 1s. They've done those two things.
I mean, they have. This is probably their best. This is the most confident that I would feel as an IU fan, though, in an IU team in a long time. Probably back to the Oladipo days.
Damn right, Jordan. They hate us because they ain't us. We love our Hoosiers.
Probably more than this IU team You got to be the most confident in this team.
It's the best team since Oladipo.
Since
no doubt.
Oladipo. So
better than the Yogi teams.
Oh yeah, way better than the Yogi teams. Yeah. So
I had Purdue like by themselves, and then on like they were the final leg of like 2 other parlays. And then you live line them when they're down like however many points.
They're down 15 at half. And
yeah, you live line them again, and you're like, all
dicey
right, let's go,
real
boys.
Quick. It got dicey real quick.
I would like to see IU this year for the health of the IU blue blood status program. They gotta make a good run.
They're
this
red
year.
though.
They have not been to a Sweet 16. They've been to one Sweet 16 in 20 years.
They haven't been to the Elite Eight in 21
since 2002.
They
went to the finals.
Yeah.
They lost to UCLA.
2003 was
Maryland. They lost to Maryland, right?
I thought Maryland was 03.
No,
was Maryland
Syracuse was 03 with Melo.
With Carmelo. Then yes, it was Maryland.
It was Maryland.
Yeah. So yeah, the now all Big Ten because Big Ten's tried to retroactively claim that national championship with Maryland because Big Ten still hasn't won since Michigan State.
Yeah, since '89 or 2000.
No, 2000.
And then they won
Michigan
in '89
State.
with Michigan, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
But yeah, no, I think IU. I just need to see it out of them. I just need to see
They
it
get
out
Xavier
of them.
Johnson back later this month. They did give a blueprint, and I've said this from the beginning. For a guy that doesn't truly understand college basketball, I've watched it more in the past few years than I have the 20 years prior. And the blueprint for Purdue, Zach Edey's going to score 25 and going to get 12 rebounds. That's going to happen. You cannot stop that from happening. He's bigger. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis is what, the 3rd best big man in college basketball? 2nd best big man?
Oh, yeah, easy.
Drew Timmy's probably up there too. So it's Zach Edey.
Oh, miss me with the Drew Timmy stuff.
Okay.
Miss me with that.
So TJD, 2nd best big man in college basketball, and he's 6 inches smaller than Zach Edey.
Yeah.
He's completely outmatched. You cannot stop Zach Edey. He is inevitable. He's going to get 25 points. He's going to get 10 plus rebounds. That's going to happen. Get past it. The way you beat Purdue is if those white boys just miss some threes. You just need those white boys to miss some threes.
Yeah.
If you protect those white boys, you can beat them.
Purdue did. I went back and watched a lot of it, not all of it, but Purdue did shoot themselves in the foot in the game. I'm not going to say it was a winnable game. That's at Indiana. I would have loved to have seen that game play out on like a neutral court or something like that. That's a game that Indiana absolutely won at home.
Jerome Hunter fan club.
Jerome Hunter fan club.
I actually made the joke because Jerome Hunter, someone was texting me about Jerome Hunter hustling in the St. John's game. Someone texted me and said, Jerome Hunter is hustling. This game's 30 points, and he's diving on the floor. And I sent the text. I was like, yeah, he's the perfect basketball player. You know why? And just set it up perfectly. It's like, because he's half Indiana, half Muskie. He's the perfect college basketball player.
Only player on Xavier's team to play more than 30 minutes the other day.
He's a hustler.
He's a former Hoosier. Yeah, I mean, Indiana. I would like to see Indiana, if we're going to talk about, and I'm not going to sit here and do the don't storm the court thing. I'm not going to sit here. I'm very much.
The number 1 team in the country.
I'm very much a pro bat flip. But they are
blue
pro
blood.
celebration thing.
You don't think you should storm the court? When
I
you're the
think
number 1 team in the country?
No. If you want to storm the court, fine. Personally, I feel like it's more disrespectful to not storm the court.
It's a bigger flex.
I think it's more of like when Xavier beat UConn this year, like there were some students like, do we storm the court? And everybody else, we were all like, no, like you don't storm the court. You show up to the arena, you expect to win, you do win. And you take care of business and you leave. Like Xavier has never, in my time, stormed the court and should never. That's just my opinion.
Didn't they storm the court when they won the Big East? I guess everyone.
That was like after they invited everybody down to cut the nets.
They did the presentation. Yeah.
So you're right. When you're watching it on TV, when you're not in the arena, it is awesome when nothing happens. The game just ends and everyone gets out the vomitoriums and leaves the game. But if you're a student in the stands at an IU, diehard Indiana fan, grew up in Indiana, you go to the Hoosier Purdue game. Purdue's number 1. You can't stop me from running on that field.
Yeah.
If the Bengals beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, every ounce of my body would want to run on that damn field and steal a goalpost from Burrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, I'm not at all criticizing and trying to rain on anybody's parade or saying don't storm the floor at all. You want to storm the court? You beat Who was it? No, Nevada. Who was it that
We
stormed?
don't talk about Nevada on this program.
It was a Mountain West school. Maybe it was Nevada that stormed the court because they got their second ranked win in for the first time in like a season or whatever. They stormed the court. Cool, fine, enjoy it. That's fine. Me personally, I think it is more of a flex. Just like I think the overrated chant should be retired because you're diminishing your own accomplishment.
yeah. Right.
You know, I think it's in the same vein. But if you want to do it, fine, go ahead. I just thought for a blue blood program like Indiana, I was shocked to see them storm the court.
My favorite new tradition with storming the court is watching the kid that runs to get the basketball. That's been a thing this year that I've noticed a lot.
Because they have to have someone go get the basketball.
Wait, what?
Oh, you'll see like some random fan go. Like if you watch that Indiana game, there's a guy in a lime green or highlighter green shirt run to the center court when the guy throws at the ball, takes it, and starts like jumping around with everyone celebrating. Like it started like it went viral on TikTok with with a staffer going to get the pylons at some football game or
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and now kids are doing it at college basketball games and you storm the court.
Yeah, because everybody thought that was the Tennessee game. And
they were stealing him, but he worked for Tennessee.
Yeah, he was everybody thought that it was a student running on and stealing the pylon. It was actually a Tennessee, like somebody part of the program that went on and collected the pylons after the game. So they wouldn't get stolen.
Right, doing his job.
I didn't know that about the basketball. That's funny.
That was the only fun part about watching the end of that game.
I did think it was a good game, and I'm glad for the Big Ten that it was a good game. I do not think Thom was all in on the Big Ten. I wonder why.
Yeah.
But the Big Ten is
capital in the Big Ten now.
The Big Ten is. I mean,
Thom did the old. They were overrated last year. They're underrated this year. That's the old Derek Jeter argument. It's like everyone says he's overrated. He's actually underrated now.
Yeah. Purdue and IU are good, and especially once IU gets fully healthy. I do believe in Purdue because I do think that
you can't stop it.
You literally cannot stop Zach
It's
Edey.
inevitable.
It's just a question of what the other guys do around him.
What Fletcher Lawyer does.
Fletcher Lawyer, baby. What can the other guys do around him? I personally think Arizona has another gear. Arizona has ripped my heart out twice this year.
God.
Betting wise, but I do think that Arizona has another gear that they can get to when Ballo and Tubelis are playing well together. But just Alabama, man. They might be my national champion.
Well, they just don't show up sometimes. They've lost a couple games by 20 points, right?
They just don't. Yeah, they're just like, you know what? We're going to take the day off. Who doesn't want a day off, Reed?
Right. Like, well, that's when you're looking at a team, that's why everyone always talks about defense in college basketball because it shows up every game.
Yeah.
But when you're a team that is so talented and you have those games, people start questioning, like, who knows? Maybe they just won't show up in the Sweet 16, in the second round, in the Elite Eight, and lose by 20. But, yeah, Alabama is the most impressive team. No doubt.
Yeah, I think so. Brandon Miller, freshman of the year.
No doubt. The final topic that I had, I think we've actually discussed in here, and correct me if I'm
Everett,
wrong.
the Kyrie of NCAA. Alabama.
Just don't know if he's gonna show up.
You just don't know. Is he gonna show up that night? I don't know. Alabama, they gonna show up?
I think the final question has actually, as we've progressed in this show, I think we've talked about it before about just whether or not Cincinnati, you'd rather them get a National Basketball Association team or an NHL team.
Oh,
that's an
NHL.
You want NHL? I'm pro NBA.
No, City's got enough basketball.
But I think we'd get into it. I don't think I could ever get into NHL. Besides, because I've already got the Stars. But I think if we get an NBA team, I'd get into watching them.
I think it's much more likely Cincinnati would get an NBA team than an NHL team.
And I don't think we're getting either.
No, we'll never get either.
Because all these leagues are expanding, right? Because they need to. I mean, they're just like any
Cincinnati's a college basketball town. They're like, what? Like NBA, there's money to be made here, maybe, but like I just don't see either league.
Between the Bengals now being good again,
I think there's room for both.
I just don't know if I don't know with.
There's room for college football and professional football, but that's also football.
That's football. I think with the power of these two programs now in the city, and Xavier being in the Big East and Cincinnati being in the Big 12, and the facilities and everything else that they have, I just don't know if there is a market. I think that Nashville. Well,
yeah, Cincinnati
Las
is not
Vegas.
getting a team.
Like,
let me preface that.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go to expanding cities, and Cincinnati is a city that is not expanding. They're going to go to these younger teams. Seattle already deserves a team for what happened to them. And then Nashville is a hotbed. Las Vegas, some other cities, like even in Austin, Texas would be a good place because that city is rapidly expanding.
Everett brings up a good point. Like Cincinnati, we're a great sports town, but logistically, Cincinnati can barely support 3 professional teams they have now. I mean, like the Reds, obviously they're not good, so that affects business. But the other 2 are filled right now, so I guess like that's the argument is the other 2 are filled. But
well, I mean, like look at the Reds and the Bengals. If you go through Kentucky, those are Bengals fans. You go through Kentucky, those are Reds fans. We've got Southwest Ohio, but we also have an entire state of Kentucky.
Now I did see if you look back at 2012. Like the Reds, obviously really good, won the NL Central, and that's what Joshua says. If you win, they'll come. That's what it was like. I remember being at. There was a weekend. It was when the Bengals. It was when the Bengals started the season 8-1 or 8-0, and they beat the Seahawks on a walk-off
2015
field goal. 2015 was it 2015?
2015, yeah.
Okay, well there was something else happening. Maybe it was 2010, 2012. There was a crossover year.
In 2012, both teams made the postseason.
Yeah, okay, so it was 2012. It was that year then where the Bengals clinched against the Braves.
That's pretty wild.
2012, huh?
Go ahead.
What'd you say?
Go ahead.
What'd you say?
You said the Bengals clinched against the Braves.
Sorry, that was just crazy, right? Reds clinched against the Braves. Like the same day, there was a Bengals game. It was Oktoberfest. Like both stadiums were filled.
Yep.
And it was cool, but like it's very rare for that to happen unless you live in a city like Boston that they win everything in.
Yeah, like I said multiple times, we're getting neither teams, and both leagues are expanding. Every league's going to expand. This is a business. They want to expand. I mean, they got to do it in a meaningful logistical space. They gotta get all their T's and Q's, make sure that the market's right and everything like that. They don't want to be Quiznos and just pop up everywhere and diminish.
Is Quiznos still a franchise?
No, but they pop up too quickly.
Really?
That's the point. I think there's still some, but like there was Quiznos everywhere.
I think that the biggest miss in this city, and it won't happen now, which is a massive disappointment in my mind because I think there would have been a market for it, is not getting. Well, what is it now? Heritage Bank Arena?
Yo, they've lost out on the Democratic National Convention. They've lost out on
NCAA tournament?
NCAA tournaments. It was supposed to be here last year.
Yeah.
But it was contingent on
how
about the biggest? Sorry.
They lost the Republican National Convention, I know for sure, and they lost the NCAA tournament just because they didn't meet the required renovation guidelines. And I just don't understand. And I understand the people of Hamilton County don't want to pay for another facility because they got screwed on. They already got screwed on the Bengals and everything else, which was funny. When I was looking at a car a couple of weeks ago, the guy came in and he was doing his tax forms for me just to give me my out the door price. And he said, "Are you a resident of Hamilton or Butler County?" I said Hamilton, and he goes, well, thank the Bengals for this extra $1,000. And I was like, oh, well, okay. That's fine. Thank you, Joe. Burrow. Anyway, yeah.
My guy.
Yeah, your guy. I just think that there's not a market for either team. I would rather see an NHL team for sure. And whatever would bring a new arena, man.
Yeah, well, both teams would be contingent of a new arena.
That is, and this has no reflection on the Cyclones or artists that perform there. Heritage Bank Center is the worst arena in North America.
I haven't been to all of them, but it's the worst one I've ever been into.
It's the worst arena I've ever been to. Yeah.
I mean, there is no and I don't know who still is it Netherland Entertainment Group or whoever owns it. I don't know. Whenever they put out they had a press conference for those renderings, it was awesome.
The glass by the river.
Yeah, it looked amazing. It was incredible. And then it was like I don't remember word for word, but I remember part of it was like asking who's going to pay for it. And I think some of the plan was UC was going to play there. Maybe UC would help fund it. Obviously, that didn't happen. It's just that is the city, the Netherland Entertainment Group or whoever owns that now. They need to come together and figure out something, some way. That arena is a game changer for the city. Artists don't want to come play here. You're never going to have a team that wants to play here in the NHL or NBA.
Now not to get into the weeds about economics and stuff like that, but the reason that for a while cities would subsidize or welfare these big arenas and big stadiums being built is because the idea, which seems pretty logical, that you build an arena in downtown, it then brings money into the downtown area. That was the whole process. That's why all these stadiums were built via tax dollars and everything like that. But economically, they've seen over the past years that doesn't translate to actual dollars for the city. It doesn't translate into money being brought into the city. But there's also another conversation to be had, and now we're talking into politics and just philosophy, that does it matter if it doesn't make money? Does it matter if it doesn't actually bring money into the city? Because at the end of the day, the government is supposed to be given a better life for its citizens. And if we're getting better concerts and better sporting events, citizens are happy then.
The tough thing about Heritage Bank is that they don't have a regular tenant. They have the Cyclones, I know, but the Cyclones aren't drawing what an NHL team would draw every night or whatever. So without a regular tenant, because you say they have concerts every year, but you can't guarantee concerts every year.
Well, and you see the artists pass on that place because of the acoustics or the amount of tickets they can sell, or like there's just why would you play unless you have a huge fan base in Cincinnati? Why wouldn't you play the KFC Yum Center or Nationwide Arena that's 10 times nicer, can probably hold 5,000 more people?
Right.
Like
100%.
Yeah.
It sucks. That place is and I love Cincinnati more than anyone in the world.
It's an eyesore, and it sucks.
That place sucks.
Right. The concourses aren't even as big as this room. They're literally not even as wide as this room.
If they redid that and made that a state-of-the-art arena. Now, here's the question. The last thing on this that I'll say.
Is that $1 or?
No, I'm not. I was not going to say this. I will say this. Would it be better for Cincinnati to tear it down and build it somewhere else, or to renovate what's already there?
You can't renovate.
You can't renovate that. That place has to be torn down.
Yeah, that's gone.
That's been Riverfront Coliseum since 1960-something or 70-something.
Okay.
It's gone.
But I don't know.
So then what do? You just tear it down, you eat it for 3 years while you build a new one?
Correct.
I think so. And then you, if they want
Cintas
concerts in
Center
Cincinnati.
up the road's nice.
Yeah, Cintas, UC. I mean,
Yep.
you've seen the wrestling event at UC. You've seen concerts at Cintas before.
Yep.
Okay.
You have to have it. I don't know. I mean, you
got
have to
no,
have
the
it
city-
there.
the city,
You have
it's
to
well-
have it
it's well-
there.
It's well overdue, and it needs to be downtown. You're absolutely right. Casey, can you do me a favor? I sent you a DM on a bad beat. Get that queued up. I'm going to show that in the vault.
Sorry, that's a passionate topic that's not listed, but
No, it's good.
I've been
That's
very
what the box-
passionate
It's
about
bugged
it
me
too.
my
That's what the
whole
box
life.
lunch
That's something
is.
Cincinnati can unify on. That place is a piece of.
I don't understand. I truly don't understand why they can't get it done. Is it because of the Paul Brown deal and they don't want to keep raising the taxes? Is it?
It's got to be money. I mean, why else? What else would it be?
The exact reason that I told you that they don't want to do a new tax deal is because cities have gone away. As for 60 years, cities would build stadiums on the tax dollar dime. And they've realized, economists have come in and said, guys, this isn't making the city money, because the idea was that, like I said, you bring something to the downtown area, and then businesses will boom up around it, and it'll bring money to the city. But economists have then come in and said, listen, this doesn't work. This is a losing profit. It's a burden on your taxpayers, yada, yada, yada. But then you can make the counter argument to say, who cares? Like sure, I'll pay a little more taxes if we get better arenas, if we get an NBA team, if we get an NHL team. I'll pay more taxes for that.
Someone mentions it in the chat. The problem with why they're able to hold on and to keep operating the way they're at is, one, the Cyclones are going to keep playing there. Wasn't said in the chat, but someone mentioned Carrie Underwood's coming here with Blake Shelton are coming here in a couple weeks or a couple months, because you're still able to get a couple of those big name acts, and then you have they can still function above water. I thought of this just now. What if the Castellinis sell the Reds and then buy that arena and redo it? That's how they can save face in Cincinnati. Somewhat.
Look, the day Chatterbox Sports signs its first $1 billion deal, that arena is tanked.
Done. See ya. Bye.
I will personally write the check to redo that arena.
Hell yeah.
Citizens of Cincinnati,
Let's get you a car first.
You have my word that once I can afford a 2008 Toyota Camry. If running for office means
are you going to be on my
arena
ticket
down there,
or the other ticket?
we might be debating each other.
And we can unite that the Crosstown Shootout will never be played there, right?
What?
We'll unite that the Crosstown Shootout will never be played
God,
there.
no. I'd ban it. That would be one of my stipulations for writing the check. would never be able to hold the crosstown shootout.
Yeah. All right. So let's get in the vault, guys. We got a couple good college basketball games tonight. They do this, right? They get these big Monday games. Monday night.
They do a good job of that. Throw 2 under there.
Right, 2 under there. But before we get there, Casey, are you got that queued up?
I do have it queued up.
All right. So I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but
fantastic.
I almost took this over. The majority of the public, like 90% of the public, was on the under, which I think was 145.5 for the Ohio State-Michigan game. We're going to get this ready to get queued up. And 2 bad teams made sense. I almost just wanted to fade the public because I was like, I don't know what the under is going to be. So, Casey, play this and have our mics over. So they're at 144. The line is 145.5. And Ohio State has stopped fouling.
There's 10 seconds left. You can't see the clock. There we go.
And look at this guy. He's just walking with the ball while there's still 11 seconds on the clock. So turns the ball over. Ohio State's going to have the ball down 10.
I would be screaming.
144 is their missed shot.
Watch the students in the top right. They all had the over.
They all had the over. All of them. That's hilarious that they had that over.
That was the first thing I saw because I was watching this live and I did not have I had Michigan, but I did not have the total. And as soon as I heard everybody cheering, I was like, what's going on here? I realized there had to have been a gambling beat.
My buddy actually teased that game. He had Ohio State plus 8.5.
Oh!
Which he hit that. And he said his wife was laying in bed right next to him, and he was trying not to wake her up because, you know how the wives are. They're not too happy about the sports gambling thing. So he's like just fist pumping watching this Ohio State-Michigan game. Absolutely incredible beat. So, guys, we got 2 big college basketball games tonight. There's an ACC game. There's a Big 12 game. Duke goes to Miami, 7 p.m. tonight. Duke are 2.5-point underdogs. Then the nightcap is number 5 Kansas versus number 9 Kansas versus number 5 Texas. Kansas 3.5-point favorites at Allen Fieldhouse. Guys, do you like any of these college games? Paul?
So last night when I did on the rundown, I did Paul's pick of the day. I picked Texas plus 4 because they have been more consistent than Kansas has been. This is a game that Kansas could win by 10 or lose by 10, and I wouldn't be shocked. But Texas has at least played consistent. I know they lost to Tennessee. They've at least played consistently. So I will take Texas plus 4 or whatever it is, 3.5 now. You're giving me 3.5 points with the best team in the Big 12 right now. I'll take it.
It is. Kansas is such a hard team. It's almost like you've got to just lay off them entirely. And the spreads on Betfred are Duke's plus 3 and the Kansas game is 4. Kansas is such a tough team to bet.
They have no
I bet
idea.
almost every single one of their games, and it's been a crapshoot because they either come out firing or they get their ass kicked, and you don't know which one's going to come. Now, they have played better at Allen Fieldhouse. So, laying 4 at Kansas. We'll put our graphic out later for not too picky. I will tell you guys this, $1 in the jar. Start fading me on the not too picky graphic because I've hit like 10 out of the last 12. And just the odds makes it seem that like it's going to come on down. And start taking Paul's bets.
I think I'm 0 for my last 10 on that graphic because I started 8. Well, to your point,
8-0.
I started 8-0 on that graphic. I think I'm 0 for my last 10. Not good.
I have retired from gambling.
I've retired from no puck. No puck. So if I'm going to take a game tonight, I think I might actually take Duke as the dog. I need to look into that a little more, see how the spread moves and what comes on before 7 o'clock tonight. Man, I can't go either way. I might just take the over in the Kansas-Texas game. I think Sean Dixon out there before the show started said, man, Kansas has another ranked matchup. It feels like they're just always playing a ranked matchup. And I was like, oh, yeah. Welcome to the Big 10. Then I looked over at Spur and I said, or Big 12. I looked over at Spur and I said, good luck to UC next year. Sheesh. Casey, you got any NBA props? You got a prop? You got any bets?
I'm I was debating on which player to go for here, but I do have one that I feel pretty confident about. Going with the Boston Celtics and Detroit Pistons. That's the early game today. And you all know how I feel about the Pistons and how they stink.
They stink.
Points, assists, rebounds. Malcolm Brogdon.
UVA legend.
He is he's due for a big game. I'm doing plus 25, which is plus 150. So you're plus money if you make that bet. So
Casey, have you ever taken a bet that was not plus money?
Yeah.
So
I always bet straights. But
Okay, so while we're here, we do this normally on Not Too Picky, but we'll do it right here. This is a trend that I've seen new gamblers do. Don't be afraid of juice. Seriously, don't be afraid of juice. Don't be afraid of the minus 110 line. Almost all new gamblers, because I did it when I was new, they always got to take the plus money bet because they just don't want to pay. They don't want to win $19 on a $10 bet. They don't want to win, 90% of what they're wagering out there. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to be okay. You're going to win money in the long run if you keep running those straights, and you're winning at a decent clip. I promise that. But you know what?
Okay.
Maybe take a flyer. Speaking of not taking plus money, take a flyer on both underdogs or their money lines tonight.
Texas Duke moneyline parlay sold. But I'm retired.
Take a flyer on that one. You might.
I would be sold
like
if I wasn't retired.
You might like that. Casey, we gonna do Wheel of Lunch, or we just gonna pick it off the rip? Something quick.
I'm pulling it up. I don't have any names put in here.
Taco Bell.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's just go to Taco Bell.
Let's just go.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
All right, Taco Bell it is, guys. Reminder: this show is sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. Remouse, Paul Fritchner, Brandon Sejo, Casey McAllister. If you have a gambling problem, call the 1-800 number. Seriously, it's entertainment purposes only. We'll be back Wednesday. We'll do Not Too Picky tomorrow. After Tom's show. But tune in all week. We're going to keep unveiling new stuff as the football season is winding down, or we got one game left, and we head straight into college basketball. So, guys,
let's go.
This has been the Box Lunch presented by Betfred Sportsbook. It's hot.